year Nuño.
Next year Nuño.
It's right now Nuño.
Yeah, it is right now.
We should be embracing the now.
Absolutely.
Last year around this time, what were they, like maybe 3-2 at this time?
At this time, yeah.
Sound about right? Yeah.
They'd already lost to Miami.
They had lost to Miami, and then Connor goes down, and you think, well, you know, Max looked good against Auburn, but I still don't know, right? This feels like a different team. It is a different team. Personnel's different. The coach is different. But there was a point in this season, maybe 2 or 3 weeks into it, where like, yeah, I mean, I can see where we're going, but some of it feels a little bit like last year, some of it. And then it didn't. The Arkansas game, to me, was an indication of that. Even though those games are always tight, the way they finished that game gave me optimism. What they did against Missouri, if that doesn't have the whole college football world changing, which it is, by the way, Joel Klatt, we'll talk about what he said a moment ago. But like, if that doesn't make you feel different, it is not about next year. It is about right now. And when I say right now, I don't know if that necessarily means playoffs, although right now you can have that conversation.
Yeah.
But I think right now means we're moving in the direction that we expect Aggie football to be moving in. And that might mean a playoff opportunity. That might mean a 9-win season. That might mean that they go 8-4, which sucks right now saying out loud, but I see the path opening up.
I would think that right now, Nuño,
right here, right now,
the playoff is an attainable goal.
Yep.
And if you don't make it, you should be disappointed. And look, they're 5-1. The more, what appears to be the more difficult opponents left on your schedule, you play at Kyle Field. I think they're better than LSU.
I think so too.
I think they're better than Mississippi State. I think
so
they're
too.
better than South Carolina.
I agree.
I know they're better than New Mexico State.
I agree.
And I think they're better than Auburn. Now you got to win on the road.
Yep.
But you kind of broke out of that jinx. You kind of broke that road jinx, and you got to keep it broken. But you know, why not? Why not A&M with at least a 10-2 record? Why not?
By the way, in a little bit, in the next segment, we're going to do games you want to watch. One of those games is a big one that involves A&M and Ole Miss and LSU, because at this point, Arkansas beating Tennessee and LSU hopefully beating Ole Miss, and then hopefully A&M taking care of business against LSU, all paints a pretty picture. If I'm designing the picture that I want, I need LSU to be good until they play A&M, and then I need them to lose.
Yeah, I think that's the best case scenario, but I think that even as long as LSU is competitive against Ole Miss, I don't think it's going to matter that much.
Yeah.
I think, we want every weekend to be like it was last weekend, where not only does A&M win, but the teams around A&M that won games made A&M's resume look better. I'm talking about Arkansas. I'm talking about Vanderbilt.
Florida
even won. So I want all those teams to win after A&M beats them.
This is TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio. It is the Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. I'm David Nuño. He's Olin Buchanan. OB, it looks, I can't figure out if you are a GQ model or a used car salesman in South Florida. Either way, you look very good today.
Oh, thank you very much. Like I said before, I'm more of a DQ model. You know, I always look like I'm going into Dairy Queen or coming out.
You could look like you could be the manager, no doubt.
But
you have business to do today.
I have business, as you know. The Mike Elko is speaking at the
Houston
Touchdown Club.
Yep.
And so as soon as the show is over, I'll be heading down to the Bayou City Event Center to cover that event.
Remind me, he does make time for the media in these events typically?
Not today.
Okay.
There was a scheduling issue, and at first there was a scrum planned, and now that's been shelved.
But he usually will talk to the audience a little bit, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. When I say usually, the coaches that come to these Touchdown Club events, there's typically a back and forth at times during those events. Anything that hasn't been talked about with Coach Elko that you're interested in hearing potentially? Because I think sometimes at these events, fans will ask a question that a coach might be more inclined to answer than if we asked it.
Right. Actually, and this is how I think, because I thought that he was going to be doing a scrum today, on Monday, I thought, well, I'm not going to ask him today, hey, would you rather would you rather still be playing this week, or are you glad to have the open date this week, or would you have rather played another week and then and have an open week for LSU, whatever. But I thought, that'd be a good question to ask Wednesday, and then we found out yesterday we're not going to be able to do that.
Well, somebody listening will be there, and they'll be like,
they'll probably ask that.
You made me sound smart, Olin. Let me ask that question. I want to go back to something he talked about. We didn't get into this yesterday. I made Connor come into my office and convince me that he was ready. We had a conversation on Thursday afternoon, and that was the final piece I was looking for. I don't know how often a coach tells us that kind of behind-the-scenes dialogue that happens, but what I loved about that is two things. I think Coach Oelze wanted to have a conversation, not on the football field, one-on-one, talk to me, where's your head, how are you feeling physically and mentally? And then Connor, they have the ability to portray, I don't know if portray is the right word, to answer that question in a way that was definitive, where Coach Oelze was like, he's ready. Yeah. And he was ready.
Yeah, I appreciated that Coach Oelze gave us the details like that, right? Mm-hmm. And he clearly has a lot of confidence in Connor, always has, even when Connor was struggling, I feel bad for Marcel Reed to go in and start 3 straight wins and then be benched again. But clearly it was, it's no disrespect to Marcel, but clearly it was the right move. And
for right now.
And I think that they're going to, I think we all feel like they're going to stick with Connor moving forward as long as the
offense moves. Well. But I think you can say two things are true, and I feel like I say that line every show. Two things can be true. You needed Marcel Reed, in my opinion, to beat Florida. There was an element that he brought that I think kept them on their heels, right? Yeah. You needed that. The Bowling Green game, he played well. He's going to be better for the matches that he had, Arkansas included, later on, if they need him here in a couple of weeks, or if they need him next season, when they need him. At some point, he's going to be used. And the experience that he got at least made all of us think he can do the job. I
would like to see him be used in meaningful times during a game. I'm one of those guys. I wouldn't mind seeing Connor and Marcel on the field at the same time.
The two quarter, but that you do have Jalen Henderson.
I saw ULM do that like in 2006 or 7 when they upset. They either upset Arkansas or almost upset Arkansas. Maybe it was Baylor. They upset somebody, and they had both quarterbacks on the field when they came up with some gadget play that worked amazing.
Yeah.
When they have such different skill sets, I think it opens up. They're not going to do that, I wouldn't think, but I would
Coach
like to see
Oelze's driving to Houston right now listening and saying, come on, dude, stop with that.
I'm just saying I would like to see
You would like to see
I'm not saying every play or a package where you bring in Marcel, because I think it's good to have look, we've seen it before, and I hope we don't ever see it again, but a quarterback has to exit the game because of injuries and things like that. And I think your backup, the more playing experience he gets that's meaningful, the better it is for everybody.
All right, if I were to say, come up with 2 or 3 guys that are traditional Aggie haters is maybe not, it's too strong of a word, but maybe don't speak well of Texas A&M. Who are a couple of people on the list?
Well, Joel Klatt.
Yeah, he's on there.
He's high on that list. Who's always?
The dude who was Barrett Sallee.
Oh, yeah, Barrett
But he
Sallee.
was more anti-Jimbo, and he was not completely wrong, but it still seemed like an agenda, which I don't like, so he's still on the list.
Would you put Herb Street on there?
Probably for 2020, I still hold that against him, SEC Mike? I don't know if he's an A&M hater. I think SEC, because at times he really loves us. Like, he's opposite man. Okay, everybody likes A&M, I hate him now. Everybody loves A&M, you know what I'm saying. Everybody hates him, I love him now. I wouldn't put him in the hater category, but I think Joel Klatt, since I used to love Joel Klatt, before I got to TexAgs, before I really dug deep into hearing what he's saying, I was like, man, this guy's really sharp. He'd go on Colin Cowherd's show, and I'd be like, this guy can talk some college football. But I didn't hear the A&M stuff. I got here, and every time I heard him speak of A&M, it was a negative kind of comment. Well, this tweet, I think it's when Coach Saban talks about rat poison in the message boards, this is rat poison. But I'm going to read it. Wrap your mind around this. Aggie football has a good shot at the CFP. In fact, I would put money on it right now.
Well, like I was saying, I think at this point you can be it will be okay to be disappointed if you don't finish 10-2.
Yeah.
At least 10-2. For the reasons I said, you get LSU at home, and your road games, though road has been treacherous and can always be treacherous in the SEC, you have better teams than the teams you're going to face on the road. That doesn't mean anything's guaranteed.
Yep.
You've got to go out and play well. But the schedule is favorable moving forward.
It is. We are actually right now in the holistic planning cool zone. This is where we're hanging. OB's looking super cool. I'm looking, like a normal polo and jeans kind of guy. The NFL recently became the latest of the big four North American sport leagues to allow private equity firms to acquire ownership stakes in teams. For years, professional sports investing was reserved for the ultra wealthy. Not anymore. If you're interested in learning more about professional sports investing and determine it may be appropriate for you, go Holistic Planning is your ticket. Go to investinprosports.com. That is investinprosports.com today. OB, let's go around the room and say hi to the people. Shall we do that? If you want to be a part of the conversation, you can do it multiple ways. You can call us, 979-693-1150. We'll pick it up on the Boss Firearms hotline. OB, guess what?
What?
We got another sponsor.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, Tommy hooking it up. The text line is now sponsored by Little Sluggers, age-appropriate baseball fundamental classes in Aggieland, Houston, Austin, and Brenham for kids 2 to 8. Sign up for a free trial at cotosports.com. That is COTO sports.com. Look at that.
How about that?
TexAgs Live going live. Let's go behind the glass and say hi to Cade Bickham, who's working the show today. Cade, good morning, buddy.
Good morning, y'all. How are y'all doing this morning?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. This has been a good morning so far.
Good to hear.
Always good when Aggie football wins as well. So.
Yeah, I think this week, I was almost running late. There was a moment where I panicked. I'm like, okay, this traffic is not moving. One of the hard things for me, OB, you know how this goes. When you have the husband and the wife work, and sometimes it's your day to take kids to school. Let's just say traffic around Consol is very unexpected at times. Sometimes it moves like that.
Yeah.
And if you leave a minute or two late, certain lights get really backed up. And there was a moment where I was forecasting what's ahead. If this light's backed up, that means the next two are going to be backed up. It ended up being fine.
Good.
Yeah. I'm sure the audience loved that story. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center, the Torniacs there. Caitlin Torn. Caitlin, good morning. By the way, Aggies gather at the Angry Elephant. Caitlin?
Good morning. How are y'all?
Good. What's on your mind?
Well, I was looking through Twitter yesterday, and I'm not jinxing anything. I'm not saying I believe it, but Aggie Sports 365 tweeted on October 7th that DraftKings had Texas A&M and TU listed as the two favorite teams to make the SEC championship, according to DraftKings.
So we have to play back-to-back.
I don't want that. I just want to beat them and they be done. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Hopefully they got 2 losses going into that day.
Go Georgia.
Yeah.
Go Vandy.
Yeah.
Go Arkansas.
Look, I got some really good friends that are Texas alum that are actually
I do
on the
too.
good side. Raheel Ramzanali, Rick is a good dude. I know a lot of great people, but I still want them to lose. And they know it. I tell Raheel all the time, I love when they lose. That's just, and he doesn't hate A&M, he hates OU, but I have other friends that hate A&M more than OU. So it is what it is.
I have family that are big Texas supporters. Growing up Longhorns their whole lives, and we're family.
Yeah.
But I hope they're all disappointed.
By the way,
they've always been disappointed in me, but I hope they're disappointed in the Longhorns.
By the way, for those who like it, and I know it's split, Colt McCoy, Stephen McGee did a little Lone Star look back, interviewed both of them. They're dear friends, and you can go to TexAgs.com on the premium boards and check out that interview. They talk about a story on the lake. They talk about football, obviously, their friendship, and going back and forth. It was a nice interview.
Wonder why they're friends.
Competitors, buddies, maybe one of Stephen's good friends happens to be one of his good friends.
Did Shipley introduce them or something?
I know that there's a connection there. Yeah, there's definitely a connection there. Anything else, Ms. Torniak?
It's funny, players, the athletes themselves that are involved in these big rivalries, they typically like each other, or they at least don't hate each other.
Except for Malachi Starks.
Typically. And it's the fans that are hate, but the players themselves.
He actually apologized, by the way. Malachi.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did. He
said told to.
He reached out. No, I'm sure he was, but he reached out directly to Diego Pavia. He says they're good. What else do you have, Torniak?
Well, we also have some big news with the NCAA Division I committee voted yesterday to shorten the college football and basketball transfer window, which will take effect this cycle and impacts the upcoming winter window.
Very good.
One window goes from 30 days to 20 days and one from like 15 to 10.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's going to make a huge difference.
By the way, Malachi Moore, not Malachi Starks. Thank you for correcting.
Starks.
Yeah, Malachi Moore.
Who's Malachi Starks?
John Starks' son.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I just made that up. All right, we're going to hit a break here. When we come back on TexAgs Live, we're going to go through the games that you want to see and how they could potentially impact Texas A&M. We'll talk about that. Right now, sign up. I don't need ones. I need 20s. All right. So just when the thing happens, I need 20s. OB, not ones. Actually, I might take one if it throws up in the air. We're talking a little Prize Picks because I like making money. You should like to make money. We all want to make money. And PrizePicks.com/TexAgs. Use the code TexAgs. It's the way to make some money. $50 guaranteed when you play in $5 lineups. You should go sign up. It's fun. It's a great community. We all kind of talk a little trash here at the office. You can be a part of that as well. And obviously, Matthew Dawson and Luke Evangelist are doing some great work with that. You want to check out their show. They do wonderful stuff. But you can basically pick more than or less than 2 to 6 player stat projections. Simple, right? You think that Connor Wegman's going to throw for more than 250 yards? Do it. Lock it in. Make some money when it's all said and done. You can pick Aggies. You can pick NFL. You can pick anything and have a good stat projection. Again, it is PrizePicks.com/TexAgs. Use the code TexAgs to receive a guaranteed cha-ching.
Make some
bucks.
money.
I always catch your money. Wow, I caught $60, OB. That's pretty good. Don't follow this guy.
You get
out of
more
the
than
office.
that if you're good on draft.
Yeah, you'll make way more than that. It's PrizePicks.com/TexAgs. Use the code TexAgs.
TexAgs. That's too busy.
What's up, TexAgs? This commercial break is brought to you by my good friends over at Aggieland Chevrolet, the official automotive sponsor of TexAgs.com and me, Billy Lucci. Greg Gunn is the proud owner of Aggieland Chevrolet and invites you to visit the dealership to experience true Aggie hospitality. From their friendly staff to the experienced service team, Aggieland Chevrolet is TexAgs approved. Check out the dealership off of Highway 6 in Bryan or go to AggielandChevrolet.com and tell them Billy Lucci sent you by.
TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Appreciate everybody listening in here this morning. He's Olin Buchanan. I'm David Nuño. He's a Heisman Trophy voter. I am not. He's going to a press conference. Not a press conference, excuse me. He's going to a Q&A luncheon speaking event with Coach Elko in Houston. OB, let's go through some games that you want to watch, and we can start things off with the team that shocked the world yesterday.
Actually,
Saturday.
a couple of teams that have shocked the world
Over the last couple of weeks.
Over the last couple of weeks, right. Vanderbilt at Kentucky. I know neither team is ranked. I know neither team's figured to be a SEC championship game contender, but last week, Vanderbilt beat Alabama. 2 weeks ago, Kentucky upset Ole Miss. Kentucky almost upset Georgia, too. So
Right.
I think this is an under the radar game that's pretty interesting. The winner, at least for a while, gets to remain a contender, right? I don't think either one of them really is going to be, but I think that shapes up as an entertaining game. And after last week, when do you not want to see Diego Pavia play?
Yeah.
And this is a good defense he's facing, maybe the best defense he'll have faced yet in Kentucky.
100%. 100%. What's the next one? I think it's Dion involved in the next one?
Yeah, absolutely. Number 8, Kansas State at Colorado. The Wildcats 4-1. They already have one Big 12 conference loss. They can't afford another. Colorado 2-0 in conference play. Is Deion Sanders actually putting together a team, a championship caliber season in the Big 12?
Well, I did not the way their season started, I was like, this is going to be a great train wreck. But they have fixed some of their issues.
Yeah.
But I want to
big
see
assist from Baylor.
Yeah, 100%.
Baylor's ineptitude helped them out a lot.
I don't think Kansas State is that level of they don't have that level of incompetence.
Well, they're going to find out, though.
Yep.
If they can beat Kansas State, I think we got to turn around and say, hey, you know what? Maybe this Deion Sanders guy is actually doing the job as a coach.
100%. This next one, to me, we talked about it a little bit earlier, really has some implications for Texas A&M because I want LSU to win because it makes A&M look better when and if A&M beats LSU, if that happens. So Ole Miss at LSU?
Yeah, number 9, Ole Miss. At number 13, LSU, the two most prolific passing attacks in the SEC. I think Ole Miss is ranked number 1 in the SEC in passing, and LSU is second. So don't be surprised if this game comes out similar to last year when Ole Miss won 55-49 and the game wasn't decided until a last pass from Jalen Henderson went off a receiver's hand in the end zone. And gosh, if you could get that kind of game, of course you want to see that one.
Yeah, you do. And when I try to project what it's going to look like when A&M plays LSU, if there has been a concern, it has been a little bit of the secondary on that defense. But they played fantastic against Missouri. Hopefully that's a sign of things to come with, I think, better receivers than LSU has.
Oh, I'd agree with that. I would agree. Or at least they're equal. At the very least, they're equal. Maybe better offensive tackles than Missouri.
Yes, I'll agree with that. Yeah, that's true. But LSU's defense.
It's a turnstile.
Yeah.
Just, okay. Well,
So if A&M was able to move the ball on the top 10 Missouri defense, which obviously we learned that was more about who they had played, hopefully that means that they can move the ball. But that's still 3 weeks down the road.
Yeah.
We got to focus on the bye week and then Mississippi State. Next one, game.
number 1, Texas versus number 8. Well, I said 18. That can't be right. Versus Oklahoma. Longhorns have been explosive, let's be honest. Now, they've done it against some poor teams. Now, the Sooners have been pretty good defensively, but they've been a parking lot on offense. So I would think Texas is going to beat Oklahoma, maybe even badly again.
Oklahoma is 18th in the AP poll.
Then I had Kansas State 18th, so I must have been wrong on that.
And then Kansas State is 18th. They're tied for 18th.
Oh,
so you were right. You're allowed to be right.
But, you know, you can look at all the stats and everything. What's the old line, the old man's line? Throw those stats out the window. And I think you can whenever Texas and Oklahoma play.
By the way, I'm just going to say this out loud. I forget who had it. Maybe it was Kirk Herbstreit. We'll get into it in a little bit. He had, I think it might be wrong. I don't want to mislabel, but somebody had Oklahoma ranked higher than A&M. And I don't see how that's possible just yet. But if they beat Texas, obviously that's a different conversation.
Yeah, what's Oklahoma's big win?
I'll wait. I'll hang up and listen because I don't know.
Yeah. You know. And then the number 1 game, I think, on everybody's radar is number 2, Ohio State in Eugene against number 3, Oregon. Ohio State really hasn't been challenged. I think they beat every opponent or almost all their opponents by like 26 points or more. They might have had one close game, but the rest of them, they've been really dominant. They beat Iowa by 28 last week, and the last 7 was late for Iowa. It was kind of a backdoor cover, I think. So Oregon, big play team. They're a big play team.
And they haven't lost much at home.
No. You know how many big plays over 30 yards or more that Ohio State's given up this year?
4.
1.
1.
One play of 30 yards or more.
Huh.
So
they have a lot of talent.
They do. So there's going to be a lot of talent on that field. So we'll see if, the Ducks are Big Ten worthy.
We got some breaking news.
All right, what is it?
VK Nagley just sent me a text from On3, and it looks like Carson's sending me the exact same one. Breaking: the NCAA is eliminating the national letter of intent. It says financial aid and scholarship agreements are expected to be used. I have not read the article. It just came down here a few minutes ago. I'm going to use it on my phone because that's where I got the text. I'll just read you a little bit. Historic changes are coming to college sports. The NCAA Division I Council approved Wednesday to eliminate the National Letter of Intent program. The changes come as the NCAA undergoes its most seismic changes to date, the House versus NCAA settlement, which would permit schools to pay more than $20 million, yada, yada, yada. Let's say the National Letter of Intent. I'm not going to read everything here. For years, the NLI has been under the purview of the College Commissioners Association.
So the NLI has been a victim of NIL?
That's correct. Those 3 letters, killing college sports. Cannibalism.
So how do you? So we don't know who's gonna. The national letter of intent. All it meant was, hey, I'm coming here.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
And it was kind of a contract.
Yeah, was it?
Yeah.
Next for the NCAA Division I committee could be the evaluation of recruiting calendars, specifically with the NLI program going away. College football's early signing period was moved up this year from mid-December to the week before the conference championship game. This year's early signing day is slated for Wednesday, December the 4th.
I don't know what to think of that.
Dun, 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 dun.
I would have to read about it more and
You know who I'm going to talk to about
have
that?
to study on that some. Mm-hmm.
I know he's listening right now. He'll probably send me a text in a minute. The Jason Howell.
Yeah.
He's a recruiting analyst for TexAgs. I think you're familiar with his
I am
work.
familiar.
Very nice guy.
Very nice.
He smiles a lot too. I
great
like when
beard.
people smile. Yeah, great beard. By the way, speaking of beards, should I go bi-week beard?
Bi-week beard, yeah.
Yeah?
Bi-week.
Torniak, what do you think? Go for it? Yeah. It just shows too many grays.
Well,
But-
you
but
are what you are.
Do I go like wilderness Nuño, or
Yes.
do I just go, GQ model like yourself, like kind of cleaned up?
I don't know. I think you should probably take all the hair you can get.
I think that's a shot. I think that's a shot. I gotta, okay.
He's gonna fire back.
Yeah, I'm not.
Eventually.
I'm not. No. Just when the TexAgs swimsuit calendar comes out, we can sell it just by the pictures. Let's talk 1775 with my wilderness beard. With my wilderness beard, that would fit in perfectly just to be arr.
Yeah.
Billy makes fun of us for our when we talk about eating meat.
I like 1775. I don't care if Billy
No,
makes
you
fun
don't
of
like
me.
it. You love
I
it.
love it. I don't care if Billy makes fun of me or not.
Well, he needs to go with us because then he's going to be like, guys, can I join you on that next spot? Because you were telling the truth.
Does Billy like barbecue?
He loves barbecue.
Everybody loves barbecue.
He does. Let's tell him we're going to meet there at 11 a.m. and eat at
Brandon
12:30.
put the B&B in barbecue.
They did put the B&B, the Dones. They did it.
No, they don't did it.
I don't know if that really makes a lot of
either,
sense.
but
I like that you
good.
went with it. Yeah. By the way, better known. They named it after 1775 because that's when.
Well, that's when the United States military was established.
And
I guess they weren't the United States yet, but
I'm a wannabe military guy. I'm not military, but I'm a wannabe.
I'm not badass enough to be military.
No.
I admit it.
No, I
Those
agree with
guys
you.
are my heroes.
Yeah, they are my heroes. There's no doubt about that. 1775 prime meats, handmade sides, handmade desserts, featured in Texas Monthly's top 25 new barbecue and top 100 barbecue joints. They're open Thursday through Saturday. That means we have to wait till tomorrow.
It's worth the wait.
11 a.m. till they're sold out, which means it goes like that. Online ordering turns off at 10 a.m. 8203 Raymond-Stotzer Parkway in College Station, 979-492-6241. It's 1775txbbq.com.
Love it.
Great song.
I love it.
Yeah.
Big fan of him.
TexAgs Live, chicken fry for those who are on YouTube. You can't hear it. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We are in the Rollo Insurance Studio. It is the Go Hour. You know who presents the Go Hour?
David Gardner's Jewelers.
Yeah, well, no. They do the show, the Go Hour.
Okay, well, the CC Creations. See, we have so many sponsors that
We're NASCAR, baby.
and I appreciate that.
I do
know
too.
what? We ought to come up with some
Shirts?
NASCAR type, like those jumpsuits or whatever
Yeah.
you call them, those driver suits with all of our different TexAgs sponsors on them.
I got to call my friends at Duck Camp, and maybe that's the idea we come up with, like a Duck Camp
Duck
kind of gear.
Camp.
Boom.
What's that one?
Holistic planning?
Holistic planning.
Rollo Insurance. 1775.
1775.
We just wear it.
Just all over.
Every show, different color, but with the same patches.
Yeah, that's what we need to do.
I think we take things a little far sometimes.
I think that'd be a great idea.
Yeah, it's a great idea. Great thinking. Let's go to the marketing department and get that done. We're going to go back to the Angry Elephant. Oh, another one. Angry Elephant on there.
Angry Elephant's got to be
Goodness
on there.
gracious. We're so blessed. We're going to go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. That's where the Torniak, sorry, I'm going to stop saying Torniak today. That's 4 times. Caitlin Torniak.
We have some text on the YouTube chat from Micah Walker saying, without NIL, but I think he meant NLI, how will anyone know with any certainty where players are headed? How will recruiting services rank teams, etc.?
I need to do some more digging. I don't understand.
Right.
Like when I said, like, is it really a contract? The reason I said that is because you can leave 3 months later if you want to and not be penalized for it once you get to campus.
Not originally.
No, not originally. Now, I need to dig deeper into understanding the facts of it to kind of understand what this means moving forward.
I'm assuming it's just going to be replaced by a different kind of contract.
Hey, can I read something? We're going to come back to you here in a minute. So TexAgs, our company, you know we work there, right? Yeah. They tweeted out, why not? Olin Buchanan and David Nuño have high expectations for the Aggies going forward, right? They tweet that out. And then Kells responds, rat poison.
Rat poison.
Yeah, if the players think that, I'm allowed, like, guys, and I know you meant it with love there, but like we're allowed to project many different things. Yeah. We're not predicting, we're just saying, remember a long time ago I said, I just want to be in the conversation. Like, I just want to be able to have these talks.
Yeah, but see, I don't even want to be in the conversation now.
No, you want it all.
Be in the playoff. Hell,
yes.
I want them to win. I want to win the SEC championship.
But if we're having this same conversation November 1st.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I signed up for, like to be in the mix every year.
If you're saying that we're having this conversation because A&M had just beaten Mississippi State and LSU, then I'm saying, you know, if you don't finish 10-2, if you get to that point, you'd be 7-1. If you don't finish at least 10-2 at that point, it's a collapse.
But for the record, if Joel Klatt is allowed to talk about A&M being a potential playoff team, I think TexAgs is allowed to talk about it. And also bring up, it ain't that easy, guys, because I do think going to Auburn is going to be extremely difficult. And I think going to South Carolina is going to be extremely difficult. And
Any
by the
road
way,
trip in
Mississippi
the SEC,
State, I don't want to say scares me, but I'm cautious.
I've been too many times.
With a top-ranked A&M team.
I'm not afraid of Mississippi State's team. I'm afraid of that venue. That venue is like a house of horrors.
Yeah, no doubt. Caitlin, what else do you have for us?
Well, this is kind of what y'all were just saying, but Chris in Frisco sent in a text that said, hi, Nuño and Olin. I can't help but be concerned for our Aggies at Mississippi State. Remember the Trevor Knight 2016 year? We were picked for the playoffs the week before. That
concern is a totally okay commentary. Like, having a conversation does not mean a prediction, right? But at 5-1, you can have these conversations, and if you're allowed to project in July, you're allowed to project in October. Like, it's how it works.
I believe, like we said earlier, that A&M is a better football team, in my opinion, than at least 5 of the 6 remaining opponents. I believe that. Now, I believe Alabama is a better football team
than Vanderbilt.
So you have to go and you have to, nothing's guaranteed, especially on the road in the SEC. You're going to have to go out and prove it every week. But as of today, I believe that A&M is a better football team than at least 5 of their 6 remaining opponents.
So speaking of a talk show that talks 5 days a week, 3 hours a day, 15 hours a week, plus all the other stuff we do at TexAgs, you sometimes go down paths, right? And I remember in 2021 basketball season, how many games in a row did A&M lose? Was it 10, 11 games, 9 games? No, 8-game losing streak, right? 8-game losing streak, sorry. 8-game losing streak. I remember during that losing streak thinking to myself, they may not win another game. I was projecting. And I also said, but if they do go on a win streak, this is possible. What did they do that year?
They went on a win streak.
And it became possible, and they should have been in the NCAA tournament.
NCAA tournament.
We're just talking about it, and yes, I agree. If the players are having these discussions, and by the way, I am sure the players are like, dude, if we stay down this path, if we stay focused, we do this, look at what is possible. That's called reality.
Yeah. I think for players, you hope that they always remember what it took to get to the point where people are talking well about them. And when people start talking well about it, that's the rat poison.
Yes.
Are you going to just start saying, okay, now we've arrived, we don't have to do the same things. And that's the thing that coaches are always trying to impress upon their teams that are successful.
Before we hit a break, let's do a couple of mid-season grades.
Okay.
If we were to say quarterback, I think maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago we would have said maybe a C. But I'm going to grade on a scale or on a curve because of what I'm seeing. And I'm going to go B minus with the potential of finishing at an A when it's all said and done, but a B minus for right now because I think there were some issues with injuries and completing some balls. The most recent game has given me the Florida game and this game has given me a lot of hope offensively.
Well, look, I'll put it this way. I'm giving it a B for the quarterbacks. I'll say the first game was an F. The most recent game was an A+. All right, and in between there, I think was a solid B. I mean, when your backup quarterback comes in, and he didn't put up huge numbers, but you won 3 consecutive games with your backup quarterback. Those are Bs all across the board. So I'm giving them a B.
100%. All right. Running back. I'm giving it an A.
An A.
And that's for all the guys.
Yeah. The running back position. That's Le'Veon playing well. That's Amari Daniels coming in and providing a nice change of pace and a good burst. And even E.J. Smith coming in and being productive when he's in there. But Le'Veon Moss, he's leading the SEC in rushing yardage, and he's had back-to-back career-high rushing performances in each of the last 2 games. Le'Veon Moss is looking like an all-SEC running back to me.
All right, offensive line, I can go B plus A minus.
A minus.
Okay.
I don't know why I'm even putting the minus on there. A&M's like what, 4th in the SEC in rushing, giving up only 7 sacks while playing a better schedule than most SEC teams have played today.
Thus far, yep.
So I'm removing the minus. I'm just giving that offensive line an A, especially when they keep performing like that. When guys get hurt and you're plugging in different guys, you continue to play at a high level.
All right, and some of that might be based on where they were. Like I'm so because the Notre Dame game, I don't think they played bad, but they weren't as dominant. They have grown since that point.
Well, they weren't as dominant because they were playing a really good defense. So your expectations should be different, right? But yes, they've continued to grow and getting better.
Okay, let's go wide receiver. Let's go pass catchers.
For the
B minus?
I'm going to say a C.
C, okay.
Maybe I'm going to C plus.
C plus?
Because I can't.
You can't erase.
I can't erase the first 3 games.
Yep.
But the first 2. They started. They really started to show something in that game against Florida, and I think they've consistently gotten better. And right now, I'm starting to think, this is a good, productive receiving crew.
Yep. I agree. All right, tight ends. I'm going to give them a B plus, maybe even an A, just because they catch touchdowns, they can block.
They've got 3. Yeah, on Le'Veon's 75-yard run. I mean, there was great blocking all over, but Thor had a really nice block.
Yep.
Trey Watson's has been a productive tight end.
He has.
I don't know if I want to give him an A because if I'm looking for an A, maybe I'm thinking Jay Sternberger type production.
Right. Yeah, I think a B's fine.
But a B or even a B plus.
Yep. Let's do the defense on the other side.
Okay.
All right, let's hit a break here. Heritage Films time. That's Chance McClain's company. They make documentary films about families, family businesses, family ranches. You got to check them out. Chance did my dad's story. You've heard me talk about it many times, but here's the important part of that. It was very therapeutic for my dad to tell his story, meeting my mom, escaping from Cuba, his childhood, the neighborhood that he grew up in, all the cool things that I've heard over the years, but I probably couldn't verbalize it to my family the way he could. So we did it on video, and it is now captured. My kids have seen it. My brother's kids have seen it, and we can all kind of capture that story and share it with the next generation and the next generation after that. And time is not guaranteed, guys. So if you're thinking about this, something you want to do in the future, I would highly recommend you think about it sooner than later. Holidays are coming up. Call Chance McClain up. He can tell that story. You can have it done. It is something you can share with your family for family business, family ranch, you name it. Chance will do it. The website is yourheritagefilm.com, 713-893-8341. Yourheritagefilm.com, 713-893-8341. Everyone, David Nuño here in a moment right now for Snaps Clothing. They are the makers of the only official licensed Texas A&M Pearl Snap shirts. I'm wearing it right now. This is part of their Tailgater collection. It's built for game day. My friend Edgar over there is doing great work. You've got to check out the clothing. It's the Pearl Snaps. It's the cool look. It's kind of hip, but also Western. You'll love it, and they have great stuff there. They'll keep you comfortable as you're repping your Aggie gear, and it's the place to go to get it. Whether you're watching the game from home or tailgating before watching the stands, these shirts have you covered. Head to snapsclothing.com. That is snapsclothing.com to gear up for the season. All of the lights were on Texas A&M this past week, and this weekend they'll be on the bye week. We'll talk a little bit more about that. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio, kind of doing a midpoint grade system. We did part of the offense. We've got about 5 minutes, OB. Let's try to get through some of these. Defensive line, A.
A.
Are they A+? They're trending in an A+ direction. I mean, teams can't run on them.
Yeah, why
not?
What does it take to be an A+?
They're doing everything they're supposed to do. I think in the beginning we wanted to see more sacks.
Yeah, but that was because teams were just throwing the ball, three-step drops, get rid of it.
Yep,
most
I
of the
agree.
time.
So I'm going to give them an A. A+.
I have no issue with giving it A+.
Linebackers.
Linebackers are probably a C and getting better, maybe a C+ for what they've done lately.
I'm going to give them a B-.
Okay.
I'm feeling good in this bye week.
All right.
I wonder what we would have given them after Bowling Green, let's say. Like, how different the grades would have been overall. But I'm giving them a B-.
Okay.
Okay? Break down the secondary into safeties and cornerbacks. Cornerbacks, A?
I
B?
guess.
Will Lee's been an A, right?
Will Lee is an A.
Des Ricks is starting to feel like there's a few, and not just Des Ricks. There's a few players that I can see with each game a little bit more confidence. Javon Thomas has shown some confidence. What do you think?
Who's responsible for the big plays that they tend to give up?
Was the touchdown on Will Lee against Missouri?
No, that was more on Des Ricks, who was on Theo Weiss, and then he saw Luther Burden coming over, and so he kind of came off of Weiss and got on Burden, like he got confused on who, and then the ball went over his head to Weiss.
All right, and let's see, safeties.
Well, if you're giving the corners an A or a B, then I think the safeties have to get a C.
Okay.
Because somebody has to be responsible for the big plays that they're reducing them, but it's still an issue. There still seems like they give up one big chunk play, for a touchdown a game, it seems like.
Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center, Caitlin Torn. Let's get into a couple of the text messages that have come in.
Yes, we just got one in from Mike in Houston, and he says, Coach Mike says, the Missouri win was the first time an Aggie QB that has come into the season as QB1 was able to start a home SEC game and was still healthy at the end of the game since Kellen Mond in 2020. Sounds wrong, but look it up.
Okay, let's talk about it. So Haynes King got hurt in the Colorado game, right? Zach Calzada was the starter on record against Arkansas, so technically he did, right?
But I think he's talking about a guy that entered the season as the starter?
Or entered an SEC game. How did he phrase it?
He says the first time an Aggie quarterback that came into the season as QB1 was able to start a home SEC game.
He's right. Yeah. I mean, how many injuries did we see at the quarterback position? And you can include this year, by the way, into the injuries. When your quarterback misses multiple games, that is injuries.
It's been a plague, and hopefully we found a cure to that plague.
Read the other Mike's text message.
Above that?
Yeah.
Oh, under it. He says, Nuño, I wish you had been my school teacher back in the day, handing out those wonderful grades.
Okay, so first off,
I could have been valedictorian if Nuño
had been. But the funny thing is, a week ago people thought I was too negative. God bless, guys. I go with the feeling in the moment. Last week after the Arkansas game, people were like, "Dude, Nuño, you look sad after the Arkansas win." I was physically and mentally drained from that game. We're at the midway point, and we're freaking 5-1. I'm not going to apologize for giving good grades.
No, give good grades.
Right? And by the way, have we had an easy schedule for what the first half of the season looks like?
I think A&M has probably had about as challenging a first half of schedule as probably anybody in the SEC.
Do you want me?
Vanderbilt's probably had the most challenging.
Do you want me to give Fs? Does anybody deserve an F right now?
I don't give an F.
Okay. Does anybody on A&M deserve a D right now?
No.
Even your C's, you weren't really 100% sure. You were like, somebody's got to.
I'm just saying, somebody has to be held responsible for the big plays. By the way, Dalton Brooks is playing great.
Oh, sorry, you can't say that, apparently.
Sorry, go ahead. Did you hear that in your ear too?
Yeah. We're giving D for defensive right now.
I am happy with the trajectory of the program.
We all are.
I know that a week ago people thought I was very grumpy. And the truth is, I want this season to be so special for me, selfishly, and for you, our subscribers, our listeners, and all Aggies.
It's like last week against Missouri was the biggest test. It was the semester exam, and you aced it. So it brings up all the grades.
Yeah, we're all happy. I'm a teacher that grades on a curve.
All right.
And that curve, if you do really bad in a game that matters, I might do the curve the other way. We're going to go down. The curve's going down.
Okay.
Sorry. Kobe, enjoy Houston and Coach Elko.
All right, I'm going to head out.
By the way, we're in this awesome TexAgs studio, TexAgs Live studio. When we come back, we're going to find out how it was all built. That and more is TexAgs Live. We are back here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. We're going to learn a little bit about how this studio was built, the vision for it, and what the future could be for TexAgs. Josh Oelze is with us, David Jones from JFS Design Works. Josh, obviously one of the co-owners at TexAgs, helped design this entire idea. It was actually your vision.
Sure, yeah.
It was. Can we kind of start off with the why and the how? I guess the why and the how.
Yeah, I think the why would be a few-fold. One, we want to continue to push what we're doing here, and growth. So the old studio set, I think, was coming on, 11 years or so we'd been in that. I remember building a good chunk of it with my kids in my driveway. So, we'd had a good run with it. I just felt like, it's time for us to progress. We try to do that in all different areas here at TexAgs. So, secondly, we do a lot more video than we had in the past. That's been growing. I think I looked, we did 75 video media pieces in the last week.
Wow.
We push out a lot of different segments and stories via video, and so we wanted to build a tool that would help us do that better and look better. And then second, this studio is just phase one. Phase two is redoing the old studio and more a casual feel. And so part of the idea was just differentiating between lots of different types of products and series that we have, so they have their own kind of feel and look.
David, how did you get involved?
Well, Josh and I are friends for a long time. So we actually did business together back early 2000s, late 90s.
99.
99.
Yeah.
And but I got involved because I do very specialized construction, and we were here doing the Brave Book set. So Texas Film Works and their whole treehouse theme. And so I build trees, indoor trees, and treehouse stuff. One of our biggest projects is over at First Baptist Bryan. And so the Brave Books guys came in and said, wow, this is what we want. We want some trees. So we built that set right next door. And then while we're doing that, we said, hey, we're here. Let's build a set. And this is what we did.
It's beautiful, by the way. And am I allowed to tell the story about somebody reaching out to me about, do you mind me sharing that?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
So I got maybe a week into the new studio, I got a message from a guy that I used to work with in Waco, and he works for NASA. And he's like, hey, can I get the contact information for who built your set? Because we want to have something just like that. He loved the desk. So I thought that was kind of cool that people were reaching out to me on your behalf.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Josh, let's talk about completing this, because there's a vision and then there's the phases and how stressful it can be and coming up with your designs. Because I remember we initially talked about doing this when I was moving over in 2021, and then you wanted to have the perfect look. You looked at Apple, you looked at ESPN, you looked at several different versions of what this could look like.
Yeah, we knew we wanted to build it for quite a while, and we looked through countless other studios and TV sets. So I have no experience building a real TV set, a real studio set. And so it really took all of us, looking through, of course, tons of pictures of other studios until we found something that we fit kind of the criteria we were looking for. We wanted this to be a pretty clean set, pretty clean lines and visuals, as opposed to, the other set we'll work on later that is much more casual and has kind of warm tones and everything like that. So, once we found that, it was, a design that we were looking for. And anybody that follows MLS will see the Apple TV studio that they built for the MLS this season. We took a lot of cues from that. And so the next thing was adapting that to, our purposes here and what we thought we could pull off, is a big part of that. But also just kind of the shots and different things we would have here. And trying to keep in mind, something that at that time I didn't know David was gonna help us, and I was pretty concerned about how we would actually construct it, but trying to keep in mind how we would actually put it together. And so then it was just trying to find how do we put it together, and so David took care of most of that for us.
David, you'll appreciate this. Yesterday I was at Candy 95, and Ted, who works there, was like, hey, is that a green screen or is that a real studio? I was like, no, it's a real studio. So he sends you these images and the design process. How do you then take that in creating this?
So he sent a pretty good drawing in SketchUp, and so we used that to get the basis of it. And there was a lot of issues that we had to deal through, which is mainly the structure of it. So the entire span has to be open for these TVs to fit into. The TVs actually hang independently. They're not attached to what you see here, so they attach from the behind the deal. So getting those lined up and done right, and this thing doesn't sag and all that kind of stuff was a concern for us that we had to work through. Getting the arc right, getting the center of the circle, which is back over there by the cameras, and then working off of that so that the table, the desk, and the whole thing works together was. It wasn't a huge challenge, but it was something we had to deal with. Yeah.
Josh, let's let the audience kind of know the features of this studio, certain things that they may not recognize, the amount of TVs, just some of the technology that is in here.
Yeah, actually, the studio rebuild was a complete technology overhaul. So we didn't really keep anything. That's everything from what you see to all the guts and technology behind it. And part of that was we're not only constructing this studio, but we wanted to be able to run the old studio once it's redone all together with the studio upstairs, and even incorporating Filmworks Studio, so we can, because part of our need was recording segments and features at the same time as well, and so we need to do that. So we overhauled everything, and so in this studio we have 10 cameras. It's quite a few, mainly because they're not manned cameras, but they're all around the studio. We have 11 TVs or so. The decision to go with the TVs behind us, the studio that was inspiration, probably had a few $100,000 video wall behind them, LED video wall, and so we were doing this, on pennies of their dollar in budget, and so, actually these TVs I bought almost a year ago on a Black Friday sale. Just went through Best Buy and bought as many as I could, and bought some spares and stuff like that, and so. Really was really David's ingenuity of making them really fit into our design, made it work. The lights, we just figured out a design that we liked and experimented a lot. We demoed up some of the sections of the set to make sure we liked how they look on camera, and then we went for it.
David, you answer first and Josh chime in, but were there ever concerns like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this done on time? Because we had shot for the first week of the season, and I know you were here 24 hours a day, it felt like that last week. Just take us through that, but making sure that you can get the studio in the right place for everybody else to finish it off.
So the issue wasn't necessarily whether we could do it, but it was timing. So we had to get it time, and it took, for good reason, it took a while to get the design set for this desk. This back here was done early on, and we accomplished it in a pretty good timely manner. But getting the desk done we were under the gun for that. And so we were the last weekend, I was up here all night Friday night, and then Josh met me on Saturday morning. I went home and went to bed. But it was mainly finishing the desktop and doing some things here and getting everything, because we couldn't do it. We were restricted on what we could do because of everything else going on. Mm-hmm. Not only y'all show next door and making too much noise. I think Nick came in here one time and said, "Hey, kill it," because we were making drills or whatever was going on. But once everything else started happening, all the lights, all the cameras and hanging everything, and there was junk everywhere and construction debris, trying to get that done and then get a finished top on here that has to be in a relatively clean atmosphere and not getting overspray and everything. Anyway, all of those mechanics came together at the last minute.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the lighting and the sound, because that is, to get the lights correct, it's not an easy process. Fine-tuning the sound, people know we've been working on it. So
for sure.
Take us through that.
Yeah, both of those things, are really still a work in process. We got a good base to launch the studio. The guys over at Texas Filmworks helped us, really figure out the lights with mostly what the equipment that we had, but we're still working to add to that, to increase brightness in here and just kind of clarity. But they were really helpful in making that happen. Again, these are parts that I don't really have any expertise in myself. The audio, we decided very early on that we were going to remove the mics from the desk. And we knew that was going to be a challenge. We knew, mics on the desk is the easiest way to get really clean audio. And so we knew we'd have a challenge there. And so we got some consulting to help us figure out, make sure we had the right products. And then it's just been a case of figuring out exactly how we use them, when things aren't just right or mics aren't positioned right, what do we do? How do we work through that? And so those have been things that we have a good base from, but we'll continue to improve over time. We have a good bit to go still in the studio and what we want to see in improvements. This was just kind of a phase one. I was going to add that I feel like David was actually pretty gracious. He was talking about getting this done on time, because I think David every 2 days asked me, do we have a desk design for weeks? And it really was a challenge for me. I couldn't find anything, in other examples that I thought one was going to fit the look that we needed, fit in our budget, and fit what we could build. And so it really was very last minute that that the desk came together and showed up in the studio. So David did a great job with that.
How proud are you of this studio? When you think about like what the original design was and actually getting it to completion, how proud are you?
I think Very much so. Not only for what we were able to do and then work with Josh in getting it done, but for my crew, Sam Gutierrez, who's from Giddings, did a great job with his specialty with just fine-tuning things and detailed carpentry and so forth. And then my dad, who lives in town, who is 81 and has skills from way back when. And so he's always a good hand to have around, and his good friend, Joe Powell. So those guys are the ones that helped put this thing together. And so I really thank them for all that they put in to make it happen. And we love it. It's unique. I haven't done something like this specifically before, but it was fun.
And Josh, if we can close out with just the future, like this studio, and you already mentioned the other one, but just TexAgs is going to continue to bring you different ways of the top level content.
Yeah, absolutely, David. I think that is the goal, is to keep pushing forward. We want to do that in all of our service and all of our products. And so obviously this is a big part of what we deliver, to the customer. And so we want to continue to improve it. We want to continue to push it into new things. I said, with a new studio, we're continuing to work on our gear that can provide, better visuals, better sound through this product. We also, we released within the last couple weeks the TexAgs Apple TV app, which I think is probably one of the best ways to consume the video that we put out. And we're redoing the Roku app here in the next couple weeks. And so we're just going to continue to push on all fronts. We worked through recently kind of video, what we call video tracking, which would be basically, just like you're on Netflix or anything else, where you pick up where you left off. And so you can watch, the show on the website and then pick it up on your phone where you left off, and then at home, on your TV. So we're going to continue to push in all our technology fronts to deliver the best product we can.
David, how can people reach out to you?
So we do very specialty work. Again, as I said before, we do theming in any building. We do it mainly in churches now. So we build stuff that's inside, custom carpet, images, flooring, trees, all kinds of stuff. JFSDesignWorks.com. JFS is Jones Family Services. That's the acronym. And that's what we do.
Josh, David, thank you very much. Appreciate you guys coming in.
Thanks, David.
Thanks,
Thank
David.
you. This is the Rollo Insurance Studio, by the way, so it's a great time to talk about Rollo Insurance. The difference is real with Rollo Insurance. They're an independent insurance company built around educating you on exactly what you're paying for, doing the shopping for you so that you can accomplish all of your insurance goals. They're right here in College Station. Their headquarters is on Highway 6. You've got to go check them out. You'll see Jason, Jackson, Morgan, Keith, all of the guys around town. They really love this community, but they're everywhere, right? There's 60 offices in the great state of Texas. You can find them in Houston, Dallas, Tyler, Austin, San Antonio, west of I-35, and of course outside of Texas as well. So 60 great offices, and they want to be the place that you go to for all of your insurance needs: car insurance, homeowners, farmers, ranchers, hobby farmers, business owners. And their priorities are God, family, and country. Call them up, 888-44-ROLLO, or go to RolloInsurance.com. That is 888-44-ROLLO, RolloInsurance.com. All right, welcome back to TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Pumpkin Palooza BCS returns October 12th and 13th, weekend at Milliken Reserve. Join our friends there with the Milliken Reserve Land Conservancy for Pumpkin Palooza, a cool fall breeze, and delicious local eats. And, of course, flying pumpkins will fill the festival air. This year's festivities will take place across the one weekend, Saturday, October 12th and the 13th. You've got the Pumpkin Palooza Festival. That's from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on both days. You can get your information at for the pumpkin games. Register online at pumpkinpaloozabcs.com. You have the trail run on the 12th at 7:30 in the morning. Again, visit pumpkinpaloozabcs.com to learn more and purchase your Pumpkin Palooza tickets. All right, got Coach G in studio. Great weekend, my friend.
Thank you.
And a little rest too, right?
Yeah, it was a great weekend because we went on the road and won, and then we had a weekend off. So players were able to go to a football game on Saturday, which was a great weekend of winning and domination, and then a Sunday of just recovery, full recovery. So all around great. 4 goals scored, which was terrific because every time that we've had a chance to prepare for games, you can see the outcome of the training. Yep. And a big emphasis last week was how we wanted to speed up our attack, how we wanted to do a little bit better in our organization of the box, of the penalty area, and the proof was in on the scoreboard with 2 goals from Jazz Wilkinson, our 9, and that was one of the things that we're saying was kind of missing in our attack was we were getting goals from so many different people, but our center forward was knocking on the door but not kind of kicking it in. But Jazz Wilkinson got two of them. A great performance by her, also an assist. And then our other center forward, who had been playing a lot, was Taylor Jernigan. She also scored. So, and then Mekhi McDonald had a great chip of the goalkeeper, hit the post and went out. But super performance by a lot of people, and a great one again by our freshman goalkeeper, Sydney Fuller. She was rewarded with Freshman of the Week in the SEC, which is pretty cool. Yeah. And a second time for her. So all around, terrific. There was a lot of crazy results in SEC soccer, just like there was in the other football. And so now we find ourselves in 4th place in a really tough league and 3 points out of 1st place. So we're halfway through the SEC season, which is crazy. We're already in week 9. Right. And just 3 weeks to go. And, we're 1 win out of 1st place. So we got all to play for.
Speaking of Jazz, if I remember correctly, if she was not your leading scorer last year, she was one of your leading scorers.
She was our leading scorer last year.
So getting her going, you knew it was just a matter of time. You just had to put her in the right position, and she had to finish.
Yeah, and and she's such a smart player. She's a hard worker, and if anyone who listened to her post-game comments, I mean, she's she's very unselfish. She's a selfless worker out there, and she was all about just this is what was about the team. She's very modest in the way she goes about it, but she works hard for the players around her, and she's the payoff. Right. And it was great to see. It was great to hear. And
then Sid getting the Freshman of the Week. You mentioned her earlier, but just to see her growth this year.
Big time. And she's had to play through a few knocks and pings, and she even got knocked down pretty hard in the game and played through that. So couldn't be prouder of her as a freshman to step in and be a starter in the SEC of all things, is in such a leadership position as our goalkeeper, is pretty extraordinary, and she's done remarkably well with it.
One thing that I think you do well, at least around me, and I assume this is how you are at practice, you seem very patient. Also recognizing what you have to do. There's kind of a both. Like there's a sense of urgency, but also you were kind of like, we're going to figure this out. I see what we're doing at practice.
Well, again, that's confidence in my staff. I mean, Phil Stevenson, who's been with me forever, and Phil is very, very much about the process of we're going to make our players better, and our players are getting better week after week after week after week. There's a lot that's going on. Talk about duck is very calm above water, but below there's a lot of paddling going on, and that's what's been going on in our training sessions. Our players are working their tails off. They're working. There's a lot of paddling going on in our training sessions in the weight room and trying to get themselves prepared to make this last stretch run, and that's what they've been doing. They've been getting themselves ready. Alyssa Mott's does a ton of work with player development and just getting our players more conditioned to play at the speed that they have to play at, under the conditions that they have to play at. You know, we talk about one of the things that we wanted to do a better job of this year, things that we kind of left on the bone last year, was not scoring enough goals on restarts and set pieces. Seth Taylor, our assistant coach, we brought in from California, that was his kind of what he kind of said, all right, I'm taking that on.
Yeah.
And he's done a fantastic job with that. And we have scored quite a few goals this year that we didn't score last year on restarts, set plays, and you know, his work with the players on that and kind of making that, giving them ownership of that, but also his formulation of how those are going to work in certain situations has been a big payoff as well. So those are things that have been clearly improvements that each player has gotten better. But again, I trust what my staff is doing, because I know the players are smart. I know the players, it means a lot to them. We have a lot of seniors on this team, and the players are playing for these seniors. They want these seniors to have the opportunity to win a ring like so many other players ahead of them. Then the championship players come to Texas A&M to win championships in Aggie soccer. That's what they come here for.
Considering some of the tough breaks initially that you guys have leveled and done a great job of that, to be in fourth place in striking distance with what's ahead, I mean, that you can't ask for a better spot right now considering what you went through earlier.
Yeah, I mean, we presented a few gifts in the early games, and you know, and again, you play against good teams. You give them opportunities, they're going to take them, and we've got to learn from that. Now, the teams we're playing this week, Thursday, we play Vanderbilt here. Now, Vanderbilt last year, I mean, they thumped us in Nashville, and the big turnaround for us last year was after taking that thumping, we turned around and beat the defending champions Alabama here 3-1. Now, it's the same rotation this year, reversed. We're going to play Vanderbilt at home, then we've got to go to Tuscaloosa, one of the hardest places in the league to play. So it's a tough week. It's a really tough week. Vanderbilt is a really well-coached, disciplined team, and a team that, you know, we know that they can handle us because they did it last year. So we have them on Thursday night, 7 o'clock at Ellis Field, where we really need the 12th man out to help us out, because it's a challenging game. They're coming off of, you know, they have played some of the top teams in the league already, and they've had these teams on the ropes, and they've kind of squandered some leads late to not beat these teams. And then, you know, we've got to be at our very best. They're a hard team to break down. They've got some great forwards, and then to turn around only 3 days later and go to Tuscaloosa and play a really talented team with, again, Gianna Paul is their striker, very Ali Watt-like, for people who remember Ali Watt for us. Both these teams are great in possession. They're both teams that if you lose your concentration, bang, bang, they can make you pay for it. And those are problems that we had early in the season. So can we change those? Can we correct those? Can we make it to where we can make them pay for mistakes that they might make?
Some cool promotions going on Thursday as well, right?
Yeah, there's a $5 beer promotion, so come on out, everyone over 21. But I know there's faculty staff appreciation, free tickets for folks to go to 12thman.com. You can sign up for those. There's a lot of other things. It's double points night for 12th Man rewards folks. But more than anything, we only have 3 home games left in the regular season. 3. The season has just flown by. So you've got this game. You've got a game next Friday against LSU, which is a family night, and then you've got our finale against Mississippi State, who just beat #1 Arkansas this past week. So 3 huge games, but it all starts on this Thursday against Vandy, and this Vandy ain't like Vandy's of maybe other sports that you might think of being a last place team. Darren Ambrose's team is a really good team. Again, like I said, they thumped us last year. We've got to do better, and we're so close. We're on the edge of being able to compete for championships again, and 12th Man helps us do that.
So coaches remember. Do players kind of think the same way coaches do? Like, I remember what that was like going to Nashville.
Well, the thing about it was they took 7 shots. They had 7 shots on goal. They scored 6 goals. Picture of efficiency.
Right.
So and they made us pay. I mean, again, they're a good team. They didn't rub it in. They weren't ugly. They didn't do anything like that. But they made us pay for the chances that they got, and they created good chances, and they made us pay for it. So we've got to do better. And if we don't do better, they'll make us pay again.
Before I let you go, Calvary's got some cool stuff coming up soon too. Is there any updates on the golfing outing?
Yeah, so golf tournament. So real simple. We do a charity golf tournament, and a real simple way to do it if you want to equate it with me, is you can go to coachggolf.com. It's a real easy link to it. This is a charity golf tournament we do. It's the first Monday in December. It's December 8th this year. It's out at Traditions Club, and it's to help local boys in town to kind of get the experience of playing competitive soccer. And it's something that we've been doing for many years. There's a lot of benefits of what it has been able to help a lot of kids to kind of stay out of trouble. Helps a lot of kids, helps a lot of families in our town, and more than anything, it's a way to really help our community and kind of get your team involved. Go out and play a great golf course in the Traditions Club, the home of Texas A&M golf. But if you go to coachggolf.com, you can learn all about it. Come on out and help us out.
By the way, TexAgs sponsors Calvary. Our name is on their jersey, so you'll see it all around town. It's my boys play at Calvary as well, so it's an amazing club and great people there. Thank you, Coach G.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you. I want to remind everybody about the TexAgs Wing Shoot, November 6th through 8th in Brady, Texas. Check out birddogit.com/TXAGS Hunt. That's where you can find all the information. It's a 2-night upland shoot with some Aggie legends. I'll be there. I'm not one of the legends, but I know Chris Harrington will be there, and we should find out, if not today, tomorrow, the country legend star that's going to be performing that first night that we are there. Tickets are $2,000 per hunter. There's only a few spots still available, but it's going to be a great event. You'll want to see it. Bird Dog is basically an Airbnb for hunters and for ranch owners, right? This is the place to go to set up your hunt, to set up your ranch, to get more hunters on your land. They're partnered with 60-plus ranches, growing that supply daily. Africa, Mexico, all over Texas, Louisiana, Florida, you name it. They've got great partnerships. The website for Bird Dog is birddogit.com, but for this exact great weekend of hunting, it is birddogit.com/TXAGS Hunt. Check it out, birddogit.com/TXAGS Hunt. We're back here on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's go to the Boss Firearms Hotline. Max Wright joining us for his weekly chit chat. Max, good morning, buddy. How you doing?
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm good, man. So let's start things off with the obvious. Like this past week performance, I think this is the thing we've been waiting for years, by the way, since 2020, where you were part of the team. Just to make you feel like we can smash fools. Doesn't have to be a tight game. Excuse the lingo there, but just the bottom line is they went out and they took it to Missouri.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, man, that felt like one of the first games in a long time that we had a full, complete game on both sides of the ball. You know, it didn't feel like we let up at any moment. It felt like we were in total control. Just like you're saying, it's been something we've been waiting on, is for the team to play complementary football. And man, it's exciting because when they do, just like you said, they can smash fools. So yeah, man, it was a great performance. It was good to see.
Yeah, and you know the interesting part to me was they didn't take their foot off the accelerator. We wanted to see that kind of performance. They certainly went at Missouri, and then Missouri really didn't have an answer for them. And when they tried to have an answer at the very last possession of the game, they couldn't get anything going except that field goal.
Yeah, I mean, I loved seeing that, by the way. I mean, that was something I was watching the end of the game. I was like, man, I really hope they keep him from being able to get in the end zone here, and seeing them shut him out and keep him out of the end zone was awesome. But I mean, that's a testament to the team, testament to the discipline that they have. They're not going to let off the gas, even with 30-something seconds left. They take pride in shutting out that Missouri offense, which is awesome. But yeah, I think that they didn't let up off the accelerator the entire game. They stayed on the gas. Defense was on fire and man, they were taking it to the Missouri offense. I mean, 6 sacks total. I mean, that's an unbelievable performance by the defensive front. So yeah, man, they were firing on all cylinders. It was awesome.
We're at the Holistic Planning Cool Zone. Max Wright is our guest on the Boss Firearms Hotline. Max, when we talk about like the image of the teams, right? Let's talk about Missouri, what they appear to be now, what A&M appears to be at the midway point, how you perceive them, and you think the national media is perceiving these two programs.
So yeah, Missouri, I think, there were some questions on, their ranking and how high they were ranked. Some people thought that maybe they shouldn't be that highly ranked coming into this game. They're a good team with a lot of talent, and I think a team that's still going to do pretty well throughout the rest of the SEC play. But I think that they kind of, had a little bit of a check this week in how high they should be ranked. I think that on the flip side, though, I think A&M is proving their ranking and proving their worth to be ranked higher in the standings, and they're proving that they're a really good SEC team and a really good team nationally. I think that when you look at these two programs and where they're at in the season, I think that A&M right now is just taking massive steps every single week to getting better, especially being underneath a new coach and starting up a new program. I think that each week you're going to see our program take leaps forwards and growth in areas that may have been lacking the week before. I think we'll see those get cleaned up a lot quicker because they're going to be things that are getting addressed and taken care of for the first time by Coach Elko and his staff. And I think that's the exciting thing right now is, they're 6 games in to a new tenure with a new head coach, and they've made huge steps of growth from the first week. I mean, this doesn't even look like the same team from week 1. And Connor Wigman coming out and having the performance that he did, with all the things that were maybe being said about him on social media. I mean, the kid came out and performed lights out. He killed it. And I think that when you look at the two programs and where they're going for the rest of the season, I think that A&M is only going to be climbing up the ladder more. And you're only going to see them play better football from here on out. I think Missouri's going to have a little bit of a wake-up call to answer to. And for the next few weeks, they're going to have to, fight their way back into the higher rankings in the SEC.
Max, we heard all week that it was possible that Connor could play. We had heard the reports that he was at practice. Were you surprised? I mean, you've got some insider information from time to time, so I assume you probably knew some of the things that were coming out there. But how surprised were you on Saturday?
Yeah, I was fairly surprised. I do still have my boys who I've talked to on the team. But they know that I do this stuff, and I don't ever want to be like, hey, give me the inside scoop so I can, expose whatever, this and that. But I wasn't too surprised, especially hearing about what the injury was. I kind of expected this week or next week to be the week that Connor would be coming back for. With the injury that he had, I thought that getting him a game in before the bye week would be really good and a good opportunity for him to get some momentum. And then continue to get healthier through the extra week off, to come back in the SEC play over the next few weeks. But man, I was amped up when I saw him warming up, and obviously it was cool to watch Tim Tebow and some of those guys next to him on the sideline amped up about it too. So yeah, he did a phenomenal job. It was cool.
Max, when you heard some of the, Coach Elko responded after in the press conference, talked a little bit about what people were saying about Connor. You played with him for a couple years. What did you think when some of those things were being said on social and whatnot? And tell me about the Connor that you know that we don't get to see, right? The quarterback in the huddle, the way he commands the team, because so many people were pointing at 1 week as opposed to the several years, the years that you played with him.
Yeah, I mean, it was frustrating, and obviously being a guy who's played college football for a good amount of time, it frustrates me anytime that I see that about any players. It's hard to make such cruel judgment on a guy for 1 week of football where he was playing against a really good team, by the way, and to write all those things and say all those things that, maybe he's not the guy that we thought he was, or, then questioning some things about his character. It was ridiculous. And man, Connor he's a stand-up guy. He's a hard worker. He's really easy to rally behind because he's in there putting in the work every single day to be a leader on and off the field and what he does. Man, Connor he's a great quarterback, and he's also an even better leader. And I think that you saw that this week with how the guys rally behind him. That was a complete game, and it really looked like the offense as a whole was excited to have him back at the helm. So yeah, it's just a testament to the guy that he is. I mean, to be able to take all that stuff that was said about him and watch that and come out and throw for 276 and play the game that he did. I mean, the kid's a baller and he's a fighter. And I think he's excited to kind of prove these people wrong throughout the rest of the season. So
I'm going to compare Le'Veon to Andre Johnson, the wide receiver, the Hall of Fame wide receiver. And I don't know how much of him you saw, but you did grow up in the Houston area, so you probably saw him play. And this is my comparison. Not that he's going on that trajectory, I hope he is, but Andre didn't say a lot, but but when he said something, it meant a lot. And also his play did a lot of his talking. I see that from Le'Veon. He doesn't say a lot, but when he says something, I'm like, oh, that's a good thought right there. And then he backs it up with the way he plays.
Yeah, Le'Veon he's kind of a quiet guy, doesn't talk a ton, but his football does the talking. I mean, the guy plays smash mouth football, and one of my favorite things about playing with Le'Veon was there'd be times where, there'd be a big hit in a hole with a linebacker, and the linebackers obviously want to get up and jaw and start talking. And Le'Veon wouldn't ever really say anything. He'd just get up, kind of look him in the eyes, go back to the huddle. Because he knew that next play, okay, I'm going to meet this guy in the hole again, and he better bring it because I'm going to come harder. And that's just who Le'Veon, man, he is one of the toughest backs that I've ever gotten to play with. And that guy works hard. He's a great teammate. He's always going to be somebody who you can trust to do his assignment to the best of his ability. Yeah, I mean, he's somebody who definitely talks through his play a lot like Andre Johnson. Whenever he does speak up, whenever he does say things, people listen because he doesn't talk a lot. And if you don't listen to him, he might just find you in a hole and find a way to run you over. So he's a great dude. Great dude.
Hey, so remind us 2020 a little bit for a moment. At the midway point, I forget if you guys had a bye week or not, but just when you started seeing success and what was possible, how that maybe snowballed into what should have been a playoff berth. And I say that recognizing this A&M team's got a long way to go. There's some tough road games. They got to beat LSU. There's a lot that still has to happen. But at the midway point, somewhere early in the season, when you're like, guys, everything we've talked about is right in front of us.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's motivating and it brings you together as a team to kind of be like, hey, this isn't just another season where we're kind of going through the motions and stuff. No, we have a chance to put something really special together here. I think that they're realizing that, and it's a good thing that they've had the success that they have coming into the bye week with the rest of SEC play to go into. Bye weeks can be great for teams. They can also be bad for teams. And I think that the way that Coach Elko carries himself in bye weeks, it's going to be great for this team. He is someone who they're going to have some hard practices this week. I know what those practices are like. They are closer to fall camp style where it's, hey, this is a grind week for us. We'll have our time to rest, and we will. But when we're practicing, it's a tune-up week. We're looking to improve and not just take this week to, we're going to take our time and just let our guys just kind of rest and do nothing. It's like, no, if we're going to, within reason, look to continue to build on the foundation that we've made for this season. And I think the guys are fired up to do that. They're going to come into practice this week ready to go and ready to continue to build on this great foundation that they've laid. I remember that 2020 year. It's kind of funny. The locker room environment kind of changes, and you start looking around at guys during practice and stuff, and you're like, hey, we're a team that's going to be talked about and have the chance to do something that hasn't been done at A&M before ever. And man, there's no better feeling whenever everyone gets on the same page with that, and whenever all the guys are all attacking one goal together. That's whenever you have really special teams that do really special stuff. And I know for a fact, getting the chance to play under Elko, that he's uniting this team to do that and to do something special this year.
Talking to Max Wright here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Max, remind the audience, when you got to A&M, what position you were recruited to play?
Yeah, I was a defensive end, for those who don't know. So I've played underneath Coach Elko.
And I'm sure you were very much like Nick Scorton and Shamar Stewart and Shamar Turner. Talk a little bit about their game and what you've seen from that ferocious defensive line, Rodas Johnson, a lot of the guys, like DJ Hicks. There's been so many different guys that have stepped up.
Yeah, I mean, I wish that I was like Nick Scorton and a lot of my play. That guy's an absolute beast. But man, watching the way that they play the game, they play with a ferociousness and an intensity that's infectious. And I think that's why you see so many different guys getting out there and making plays, is because you have the leadership at the top of the position groups, to push these guys. Whenever I got here my freshman year, Michael Clemens and a couple other guys were the dudes who were the leaders of their groups, and they pushed us. And so, I mean, you had young guys like me, Bobby Brown, and some other dudes, Marvin Leal, who were coming in the next year, who got to see really good defensive linemen who were about their business play the game. I mean, these are guys who I see out there. I mean, Nick Scorton is the complete defensive line package, in my opinion. Defensive lineman package, in my opinion. He has the size to be able to play in the interior if he needs to, but he also has the quickness and the bend to play on the exterior and win one-on-one battles against offensive tackles, which is a really unique setup for a defensive lineman. And I think that's what makes him so dangerous. Is he's not just a big dude who doesn't have a speed aspect to him that you have to take that into account. He's fast, but he's also, if you don't set right and don't set him the right way, he's going to run you over and he's going to put you on your back. And I mean, Shamar Stewart's just an absolute freak. I mean, the guy is one of the most athletic dudes at 270 who I've ever seen. He's up there with Michael Clemens as the two guys who are the least fun to block in the game. And I've had to block them quite a bit. But coming from a defensive lineman position and just watching their game and watching their craft, I mean, they're proud of their craft and they're masters at what they do. And, talking about the other guys in the position group and in the D-line group, there is a lot of depth. And I think that's what makes them so deadly is, there's not a guy who they're bringing in off, to get in, guy rest. That's the offensive line is like, oh, okay, good. They got this other dude in here so we can take a few plays to recover. It's like, no, they're bringing in DJ Hicks, who's also a beast and a future, I think, SEC talent and that SEC star. I mean, the D-line's littered with talent, and there's so many guys who are going to be really productive in that room.
Talking to Max Wright. Max, what did you think of the whole blanket thing? Did I lose you?
Okay. So, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. I don't know if that was actually Mr. Lee who sent that, but I think that may have been a Missouri coach thing, trying to get their guys fired up, which isn't uncommon. There's been things that I've seen with our team where coaches have put things out for us to maybe fire us up a little bit. But I will say that Willie is, he is a guy who's a competitor. And I didn't have a ton of time. I didn't get a chance to play with him. I did get a chance to meet him and get to hang around him in the locker room. But that guy is a gamer, and he is somebody who's going to go out on the field and compete. He doesn't care who he's matched up against. That dude is fearless. Which that's one of the things that I've been most excited about, is that DB group has really been growing and they've really been making some strides. And they're a group that, with the loss of Tyreek Chappelle, has bounced back and has had some really great weeks. And I'm excited to see them progress. But yeah, the blanket's real. He definitely had a blanket on some guys this past weekend, and I think he'll continue to do that moving forward.
Max, great stuff, man. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Gig 'em.
Max right there on the Boss Firearms Hotline. We'll hit a break. We'll come back with an open segment. Right now, we're talking about FBS Appliance and their team of experts here to help you find the appliances that make your house a home. They carry all the top brands. They have incredible service. They pride themselves on offering a comprehensive solution that sets them apart from the competition. They specialize in providing top-notch sales and installation, servicing the leading brands, ensuring a seamless experience for their customers. And their commitment to excellence does not stop with sales. They have skilled technicians. They've assembled a team of incredible technical guys that will get it done, accommodate your design space, and make sure that you have the right appliance for your home. They have 8 showrooms across Texas, obviously one right here in College Station on Welborn. Check them out online at factorybuilderstores.com. That's factorybuilderstores.com. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio. I want to remind folks, we're going to have our good friends from the Association of Former Students in studio here in a little while. Scott Walker's coming by and also Landon Johnson. Aggie Ring Day is this week. 2 days devoted to delivering Aggie rings, Friday, October 11th from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Saturday, October 12th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. More than 4,200 Aggies will receive their Aggie rings at the Clayton W. Williams Jr. Alumni Center. They expect a bunch of guests, so just to encourage you to all make sure that you come prepared for that. 40 to 45,000 total guests. So, and when Scott comes into the studio, we'll talk about some tips to make sure we're ready to roll. There's going to be no parking, though, at the Alumni Center, so make sure you check it out. You can check out the website, obviously, and a lot of different ways to be involved in this, tx.ag/Ring Day Map to find that map for you. But we'll talk about that with Scott a little bit later and Landon. I did want to kind of close this segment with this about people saying, rat poison, rat poison, rat poison, rat poison! Yeah, you're right, it is rat poison. But do you think in Tuscaloosa or in Athens, that is Coach Elko's job to police the players, not to buy into it? And I'm not even saying this team's going to make a playoff run. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just saying at the midway point, these are still possible goals. As for rat poison, I expect that Coach Elko will coach his guys to the best of his ability to make sure that they don't fall for those talking points. Because Kirby Smart can do it with his guys, and if we expect to be that level of program, then you should be able to handle the conversation. But I do agree with you, saying it out loud sounds a little dangerous midway, because then they'll do a little clip and they'll be like, see, Nuño said this. I'm just telling you, all your goals are still in front of you. They're all still in front of you. You're going to have some hard road trips, no doubt about it. Obviously, you got LSU coming here, you got Texas coming here. There are some tough games, no doubt about it. But those goals are still in front of you. When we come back on TexAgs Live, Jason Howell on the program. We're back here on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Appreciate everybody listening in this morning. It is time for Recruiting Country, presented by Caprock Health System, a faster patient-centered revolution in care with 2 ERs in the Bryan-College Station area. You've got the original 24-hour ER in South College Station on William D. Fitch and the full-service hospital with ER in Bryan on Briarcrest. You can learn more at caprockhealthsystem.com. We go to the Boss Firearms Hotline. We're going to talk to Jason Howell, by the way, Boss Firearms, Aggieland's premier gun and accessory shop. They've got all you need to build your next firearm. Check them out at bossfirearms.com. Mr. Howell, how are you, sir?
I'm good. Just a second.
Oh.
Woo. All right.
Sorry about that.
Where we at? It's all right. I had things going. I was listening to the show. I was like, why am I getting audio? Because I'm an idiot. Because I'm listening to you guys, trying to stay up to date on the show and not turning it off when I come on.
Well,
that's what happened.
I appreciate that. You actually were one of the few to comment on, yes, David, please have the bye-week beard.
I may be biased. I mean, and I'm going to be real honest. You may decide to go away from this baby face look you got and keep the beard for a while, man.
I mean, buddy,
it's a good look.
Let's be honest. It's my moneymaker. I'm not doing that. I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Hey, this has made my moneymaker a little better. It's enhanced my moneymaker. I'm just saying. I don't know what's going to end up looking like, but I got a feeling you pull it off pretty well.
Hey, I got a text earlier that has nothing to do with this topic, but I think since you're such a happy, nice guy, David, listeners like picking on you because you have a very short fuse. Do I have a short fuse, Torniak?
I bet you're like me. You have you get fired up about something like really quickly if it hits you in the right way.
Yep.
And then you're over it 5 minutes later.
No, I wouldn't say that. No, I keep a log. I have my terminal list as well. Every texter that's been mean, I have my. Not that I'm going to go after them. No, what I usually tell people is some of your most famous, or not famous, some of your most favorite people have a very short fuse. Have very thin skin, and I'll give you an example. Not that I'm anywhere near this, but Michael Jordan, very thin skin. Right, some of the top people in the world do, but I do agree. I need to be better about that. Let's talk recruiting, Jason, because it's been a fun few days, right? Should we start with Nelson?
I want to dive into I want to dive into Nelson McGuire, but there has been some breaking news on the national letter of intent and the transfer portal and all that. And I've actually been working the phones a little bit, trying to find out what all this means and. With revenue sharing coming up, those contracts are going to, be signed at some point. But for now, signing days staying the same. You will have financial aid agreements, no letter of intent. Previously, financial aid agreements were non-binding, but I think from what I'm getting, it will be binding in December, and prospects can't just go out and sign with multiple schools and do all this stuff. That's what things are trending to. That's what I think that's what I'm gathering as I'm talking to different sources is that these will be binding financial aid agreements, where in the past it was only binding once the prospect actually enrolled in school. And
is this multiple year agreements potentially in this scenario?
Do what?
Is it potentially a multiple year agreement in this scenario to where maybe or is this not going to affect at all the transfer portal?
I'm just this is more the national signing day, just a high school national letter of intent, because transfer portal guys don't even sign a letter of intent. They sign just a financial aid agreement. But I just wanted to, this is what I'm getting from different people, that it will be binding or it's trending that way. And with revenue sharing contracts, it is likely to, that it's going to be ruled, letter of intent was going to be ruled, nonsense anyways. So that's the way things are trending in college football. And I'm probably speaking above my pay grade, but also I'm talking to different people. It really shouldn't change the landscape too much with the way colleges are recruiting, at least at the highest levels, as far as signing day and all that stuff. So that's what I've got there on that front as we dive into this latest new breaking news. And then the transfer portal, yeah, you are shortening the windows. I believe I want to make sure I get this right, but they're going to a 20-day window in December. Let me make sure. But let's see. I have all my notes here. All right. Yeah, you have a 20-day window in December and a 10-day window in April, and that's just when a player has to tell the school, "Hey, their current school, hey, I'm transferring, or I want to enter the portal," and then they can commit and enroll anytime after that. So you're probably going to still see those. You're going to see those visits take place in January through December, all that stuff. And then you also have that 30-day window that is still there in the case of a coaching change. So once a coach is fired or decides he's retiring or leaves for another job, all those players on that roster still get that 30-day window that starts immediately upon that announcement.
Jason, it feels to me that this is not the first domino. This is a domino with more dominoes expected. And I would assume here over the next couple months, right? This is going to be one step of a few more as they get ready for what next season is going to look like, next year is going to look like.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're gonna continue to see those changes, and we won't know everything, but that's my latest interpretation of what and the information I've gathered on these two latest new developments, if you will, to the schedule. So.
All right, let's get into Nelson McGuire, Jason, because that's that offensive line haul, man. That group is going to look pretty special, especially with what we're seeing right now, currently, what they're doing on campus, projecting what these guys could look like.
Yeah, and Nelson is a guy I didn't realize. I just saw him at camp in June at TCU was the first place I saw him, and I thought he was he had the makings of a really special talent. And then I saw him at A&M's camp, and when he walked through the door, it was at one of their big man camps, and I said, "That's going to be your O-line MVP." Like, just based on what I saw at TCU, I had a feeling he was going to come in, show out. 6'4", 320 pounds, but he's only been playing offensive line for 6 months. He was a basketball focused player until his junior year, and then last year as a junior in 23, he was mainly defensive line and didn't really, play a ton. And then in the spring, he moved to offensive line, and that's where things really took off. He's been working with a trainer. He's been working with his O-line coach, they've really seen him take off. In a way, his O-line coach was talking about. His O-line coach actually coached him in freshman basketball and was telling us that he told him at the time, "You're a football kid. You're really good at basketball, but football is your sport, man." And he made that transition this spring and has really taken off. It was a great evaluation by Mike Elko, Coach Cushing, and I know Coach Cushing played a key role with his ability to develop offensive linemen, and the progress that they've made from last year to this year is something that really resonated with Nelson, as well as several other prospects in that offensive line class. They really love how he addresses them and their games currently and breaks it down and tells them how they can get better and steps they can take before they get to A&M to get better and be better high school offensive linemen, and then what he's going to do with them once they get there. So that's been something that Coach Cushing and that whole offensive line group has done phenomenally with. And I love the upside, 6'4", 320, and he is He's nimble, he's athletic, and this fall, when the pads came on, he has shown that he is mean, physical, and nasty in those trenches, which was probably the biggest question when it really came down to it.
Talking to Jason Howell on the Boss Firearms Hotline. Jason, let's talk about the group overall. So you got 22 commits, 6 on the offensive line. That is just obviously we knew that it was going to be a heavy emphasis for Coach Oelze because that's what he wants. They're living up to what he wanted to do. They're getting the guys that they need. The play is backing it up on the field, and that's going to open up the eyes of other potential commits here soon. So just talk a little bit about that group overall, especially with the emphasis on the O-line.
Yeah, I think they've done a phenomenal job of finding guys that fit just from a football need standpoint and character and program vision that they're working towards. That offensive line group, you see it this year where you're having guys play multiple spots and you get a guy banged up and you need somebody to jump in at center or move over to guard or a guard that can flex out to tackle. And you're seeing that with a lot of these offensive line recruits, that position flexibility and the they can play multiple different positions. You've got Marcus Garcia could play center all the way out to tackle. Connor Carty, guard, more than likely. He's one of the best in the state, but he also has the athletic ability to be a center. Jonte Newman could, either side of the line, could play inside a tackle or inside a guard. I mean, they can all play all over that offensive line, which it's hard to it's always a need to have that flexibility, especially in the SEC where guys get banged up and you see that paying off this year. That's something that I think Coach Cushing prioritizes, and whether it pans out in the rankings or whatever, 247 on 3, whoever, even TexAgs, I'm sure they disagree with some of our takes, but they are finding guys that they've targeted, that they've prioritized, and I can tell you that they're landing guys that they really, really wanted, and the majority of them are going to end up enrolling early, so graduating in December and being on campus in January. So I know with Nelson in particular, he was talking about, hey, I'm graduating. I'm gonna get there as soon as possible. Hopefully, get in there for some bowl practice or whatever, playoff maybe. With the way they're playing now, that may be the conversation. So, but overall, they've done a great job addressing needs at cornerback, linebacker, receiver. You still like to add another piece or two there. Running back, another piece or two there, but. And you want to find that offensive tackle that you want to add to this class. But overall, it has been a phenomenal job addressing those needs, and I think we've tried to point that out. Like, hey, they've got some guys in this class, and they've targeted their numbers, and they haven't hit every single one, but I think you're seeing them address their needs in a great fashion. It's a very balanced class, and now with a few targets and a little bit more momentum after that Missouri game, and you're kind of off to the races.
Talking to Jason Howell. If you have a question for Jason, you can do it on the Little Sluggers text line, 979-693-1150. Again, that's Little Sluggers text line, 979-693-1150. You can check them out at cotosports.com. That's cotosports.com. Jason, let's talk about the weekend it was with Missouri. Obviously, the performance on the field was fantastic with some guys in attendance to kind of check it out. And I saw some tweets and videos of people just kind of absorbing the moment.
Yeah, you couldn't have asked for a better performance and overall weekend from Texas A&M on and off the field as far as a recruiting visit goes. The crowd was phenomenal as always. and then that was just a thorough beating that A&M put on Missouri. And I think it was also the fact that everybody, I know going into that game, I was thinking, hey, it's going to be a close game. It could go either way. I think A&M could win. And then they came out of the chute just all guns blazing and really put a impressive performance on the field all the way around. It wasn't just a big play here or there. It was everything. Things were clicking. That offense was moving in a way that those offensive targets, they got to be liking what they saw. There's some steak to that sizzle, to rip off Bronny's favorite saying there. So they got a chance to see that firsthand, experience that atmosphere, and see a big win, and the Aggie family kind of come together and celebrate in a big fun atmosphere. And you had several big targets on campus. You had McGuire, who was, he ended up committing, saying he didn't need to see anywhere else. He was going to A&M, and he knew it as soon as he got on campus. He knew that he was going to have to commit before he left. And then you had Lamont Rogers on campus, and everybody wants to ask, and he's been put on flip watch or whatever. And this is a guy we have been telling people, hey, keep an eye on him ever since he committed to Mizzou this summer. We didn't think that was over. And as you've seen, he's been back in town for Notre Dame, and he was back again this weekend for the Mizzou game. And he has teammate that's committed in the 26 class. He's always had a high interest in the Aggies. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's going down, but I do like the momentum, and everything I've heard is there has been, some continued momentum there for positive momentum there for A&M, and it's going to be something to watch. And I'll just say, from talking to the people I've talked to, I do like and have liked the way the Aggies have positioned themselves there. So keep an eye on him as he kind of navigates the rest of his decision. And Toby Hostrup out of Katy, Texas, is another fast rising guy, much like Nelson. Not a whole lot of tape until not any tape until this fall, but a crazy athlete, 10,700 meter guy, track guy, soccer player background. Again, a guy that has A&M connections. He's right there in Katy. But yeah, we continue to hear that's moving in a positive direction. We expect A&M to be sticking around in that one for a long, long time, to be a real player there when it's time for him to ultimately make his decision. I know Ole Miss, Missouri, Florida State, he's got several LSUs in the mix there. So he's got several visits that he's been planning to take, and we'll see what happens after all that. But this weekend definitely helped A&M with all three of those big 25s on campus.
All right, let's look ahead here when we come back on TexAgs Live. I do want to talk about some underclassmen that are coming by or have come by and some new offers. So we'll get into that on the other side. Plus, remember, you can text Jason on the YouTube page, on the TexAgs page, or on our text line, 979-693-1150, the little slugger's text line. Right now, a moment for Caldwell Country Chevrolet. You can find them online at caldwellcountrychevrolet.com, or you can go in person, Highway 21. They have a great selection of commercial vehicles with service body trucks. They have flatbed trucks. They have a little bit of everything, guys. Medium duty trucks. And here's what you need to know. Great customer service, great pricing, great people. Boom. Spot's over. You want to get a good price? You go to Caldwell Country Chevrolet. You want to get good trade-in value? You go to Caldwell Country Chevrolet. You want exceptional customer experience, customer service experience? You go there, because it's before, during, and after the process. We took our Tahoe last week to get some work done. Complimentary pickup, delivery, they did it. Complimentary oil changes for the life of your vehicle when you go to Caldwell Country Chevrolet. They take care of you. That's what they want to do. That is what they do. Proud supporter of Aggie Athletics. Remember, it's not a far drive. We're talking 15 minutes. The edge of Bryan to the beginnings of Caldwell. a short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with the great people. They're at Caldwell Country Chevrolet, Highway 21 in Caldwell. Online, Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Recruiting Country, brought to you by Caprock Health System here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Jason Howell still on the Boss Firearms Hotline. We go back to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Caitlin Torn has some questions that are popping up, and one about a commit from somewhere in Florida. Caitlin?
Yes, Connor Darland on the YouTube chat is asking Jason for an update on that FSU commit that visited last week.
Dalen McCutcheon from the state of Texas, Lucas Lovejoy. He visited a couple weeks ago, not last week, but he left after meeting with Coach Wiggins and Coach Elko, and him and his father came into town, and they had a good time. the feeling I got was they wanted to see what that offense is going to look like, and they plan to keep an eye on things. And as far as I haven't heard a whole lot of movement there lately, but I know Texas is very involved, as well as I've heard Miami, Nebraska, a few other schools there, as well as Florida State, where he is still committed. So that's going to be a player to continue to monitor. He's having a great year at Lucas Lovejoy up here in the DFW area, and would definitely be a guy I think the Aggies are going to continue to monitor, and vice versa.
Talking to Jason Howell on the Boss Firearms Hotline. Jason, I just want to talk about, I think the macro view is overused, but let's take a look back. For the last few years, A&M has been able to recruit at a high level based on what we think this program can be, based on the resources, based on some good relationships. And I know 2020, there was some substance there which helped fuel the next few years. So if what we're seeing is the new A&M, right? Like the established A&M. I'm not saying they're going to go 10-2 every year, but I'm just saying a team that doesn't have the dysfunction and can win and has the offense and the defense to back it up. Recruiting-wise, like, we've seen good. We may continue to see great, right? Like, I mean, I'm sorry to speak for you, but I feel like it can only get better, and it's been really good.
Well, yeah, A&M is going to recruit itself to a large degree because of the institution it is, because of the facilities it has, the fan base that it brings to the table every single weekend, home and away. Those are going to be attractive regardless of what is going on the field. It is a flagship university in a big, talent-rich state. So it is there are going to be prospects and players that are just naturally drawn to the Texas A&M. That's just the way it's going to be. Now, this development, we'll see how it goes. Yes, last weekend was awesome. It could not have gone any better. If they continue to show that is the norm, that this is what's happening, and I think at least for kids that have been getting recruited by this staff for a while, for the last several months, they've kind of sensed this was coming at some point, because this is a staff of teachers, and they do a phenomenal job showing that on the recruiting trail. I talked about Coach Cushing and how he coaches and analyzes players when they come in on visits. Well, he's also having video sessions with guys, and he breaks things down, and the staff breaks things down in a way that relates to kids, and they're able to grasp and understand things at a high level. And I think that has resonated on the recruiting trail and drawn a number of top prospects. And I think as that turns into on-field performance, like we've seen it kind of build up over the last few weeks, but last weekend was just a different level of efficiency in every facet of the game. And yeah, you continue to do that, A&M's going to be a player for whoever they want.
Play on, playa. Talking to Jason Howell here on TexAgs Live. Jason, let's close out. Some new offers came out over this week, and there's some underclassmen involved in this too.
Yeah, 3 new scholarship offers to guys that came in on visits this weekend, all underclassmen. You had Nolan Wilson from Picayune, Mississippi, 6'4", 240-pound defensive end, who didn't have any offers going into last week. So this time, he picked up his first offer last Monday from Alabama. And I want to say he ended the week with about 11 scholarship offers, all of them from power programs, your Big 12 or your Big 10s, SECs, and he's going to be one to watch in that 26 class. Very twitchy, explosive edge or not, defensive end. Prospect out there. But A&M extended the offer. They got him on the weekend after his first big week, and really got to spend some time with him. And he really enjoyed his time in College Station. But that was a big offer. He'll be making the rounds to several different schools over the next few weeks. And as a 26, he's got a process ahead of him. But the Aggies kind of were able to make a big impression right off the bat with that big game experience and getting him on campus to see everything. So and make the offer. And then you have Kennedy Brown, 6'5", 285 pounds, offensive tackle in the 2027 class. He has seen his stock blow up since mid-September. He's picked up, I want to say Texas Tech was the first offer, UTSA, UTEP, Baylor. He picked up Tennessee right before coming to College Station, and then A&M offers this weekend. It's his first year of varsity football, but he has some nasty, nasty tape. He's fun to watch. He's just so nimble, and I've been using that word a lot, but he's got some power in his punch, and he gets out there. That first play of his highlight tape may be as impressive as any I've seen on a young offensive lineman's film in a while. I think he blocked 3 different players at 3 different spots on the field and 2 at the same time, and one in that first clip. It was pretty dang impressive there. And then Caden Scott is a 6'7", about 280 pound, 2027 offensive tackle out of San Antonio Roosevelt. That's also been, he started heating up in the spring, and again, he's putting together some great tape and doing some big things out there at Roosevelt. And beyond that, A&M had a couple guys with ties to other Texas universities that are also big time top prospects and priority prospects for A&M, and London Smith out of Waco University, whose parents both went to Baylor, and then Caden Finley out of Aledo in that 26 class, both big-time playmaking receivers. A&M's making some headway. Trooper Taylor's got some real ties in there with London Smith. Finley's dad is Jermichael Finley of Longhorn and NFL fame, and so being in on those guys, I think that says a lot about Coach Wiggins and what the thoughts are there. But they both really liked what they saw. You had a group out of Mississippi, Mitchell Smith, Preston Ashley, and Tyson Robinson, along with Noam Wilson, that were all in town, all have scholarship offers from A&M and are going to be guys to keep an eye on. I know Tyson Robinson camped at A&M this summer, and all of them had phenomenal things to say and about their experience this weekend, speaking with the coaches. And I got to throw my guy out there, Peyton Houston, out of Shreveport Evangel. So he's a big-time quarterback in that 27 class. He can whip it around the field as well as anybody. And he made his way back to College Station. He said he's been being recruited by the A&M staff since he was in the 7th grade. And Mason Smith, I think, has been doing some heavy lifting there along with Coach Klein and those guys. They've been doing some big things out there. They had a number of top priority underclassmen on campus, and those are a few of them. We got updates on several on the site from this weekend.
Jason, great stuff, man. Thanks for your time, buddy. Talk to you soon.
Always appreciate you, man.
Later, buddy. Jason Howell there on the Boss Firearms Hotline. We'll hit a break. We'll come back with Peter Burns. Right now, duck camp. So Steve is and Kyle are just taking me alligator gar fishing tomorrow, right? I'm looking forward to doing that. I'm taking my twins with me. The boys are going. And I was like looking forward to wearing duck camp gear because I'm like, man, duck camp gear, like why wouldn't I, right? And then Steve, just a few minutes ago, sends me a text saying, wear clothes that you can get dirty, that you can mess up, it's going to be a little dirty. And I'm like, bro, I wanted to be a fashionista. That's all right. I can still wear it, and I'll order more. Duck Camp is the place to go when you're looking for comfortable gear for the outdoors. We're talking football games, we're talking fishing, we're talking hunting, you name it. Let Duck Camp gear take care of you. They fit well, they're super comfortable, and they just look good, man. You want to look good, but also outdoorsy, you go with Duck Camp. They range from their new sun protection line of shirts to technical hunting, fishing apparel, to obviously the Mallard Game Series hats. Those are the hats you need to be wearing when you are out and about. Like if you're wearing it when you're hunting or if you're just wearing it around campus, you'll love it. They have been tested in the backcountry of Alaska to the dove fields of Texas, and they are the place to go when you're looking for hunting and fishing gear and, of course, going outdoors. Duck Camp gear is made for the people that live for the moments out there where there are fish to catch, birds to hunt, time to kill, and, of course, football to watch. It's duckcamp.com. That is duckcamp.com. Did you say a bathroom I can play baseball in?
Sounded like to me.
That's the lyric? I've heard that song 100
It can't
times.
be, but that is what I heard.
Kate, is that like, I mean, it's a good song, but is that what he's saying? Did I hear that correctly? Maybe it just never connected before.
That's what I heard, but I'm not totally sure if that's the lyric either.
Huh. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. We're trying to get Peter Burns on the hotline. Not sure if he's got something going on. I wanted to read this from a guy who loves to send us fake names, and we know who you are. It's been documented on here, but he actually has some interesting questions at times. Here's one. He says, what are the chances that Wegman can get in he called it the Heisman? The Heisman.
Yeah, a little off
I think
on
he
the
means
spelling.
Heisman, right?
Yeah.
Or he's trying to be funny. The Heisman Trophy. So here's how I'm going to answer that guy. Jerry, if you will. His name is Jerry Attrick. Jerry, Mr. Attrick. The way I'll answer that is as follows. No, I don't think he can get into the mix because he's missed too much time. I know that some will say, well, Quinn Ewers has missed some time too. There goes that voice. And yeah, Quinn Ewers has missed some time, and I don't expect for Quinn, I could see Quinn getting back into the mix. I don't think Connor is there just yet because A&M was winning without Connor, and I know Texas was winning without Quinn. But no, I don't think he can get in the Heisman conversation right now. Sorry. Put together, an incredible streak where A&M just dominates fools for the next, 6 weeks, then maybe I'll change my answer. But as of today, based on what has happened so far, no, I don't think he'll be in the Heisman conversation. Also, when you look at this team, it's not just what he's doing, right? We can point, if I were to ask the audience through 6 games, 5-1 record, who has been A&M's best player? I think many of you would say Nick Scorton, but I don't know if that's the for sure answer because I think Le'Veon Moss has been so consistent and so dominant that he would be the next one I would think of, right? So let's talk about that out loud. Who's been the best player on A&M this year? And I'll let Caitlin and Kate answer here, and we can open it up on the Little Sluggers text line, 979-693-1150. Hard to say. I can pull a Billy. If I were to say a defensive guy, I'd say Nick Scorton or Shamar Stewart. But I could say, that's how Billy would answer it, and then he'd go to the offense. By the way, it's great. I'm not knocking you, Billy, for saying that. I would say, look, they're all great. Not all, they're not. Earlier, I was accused of being a very easy teacher. But I would say Le'Veon Moss would probably be my first pick. If I say who has been the best, but there's been a lot of really great performances, so that's not a knock on anybody else. Cade, who would you say?
I would say that the best player on the team this year has been Trey Zune. I think we don't run the ball as well as we do this year without him being the leader on that offensive line. We don't pass protect as well as we have been without him being the leader on that offensive line. Left tackle is a really hard position. That's why they get paid the big bucks in the league. And he's done a fantastic job. So I think he's been our best player this year. I think that's a great answer, Cade. I probably should have thought a little bit deeper. You might have won the game. All right, if we were to vote on it, you might have won. Because I don't think offensive line, sometimes we take them for granted and we just see the end product. But by the way, either answer is fantastic. Caitlin, what do you think?
I would agree with both of y'all. Someone else I think is playing really, really great would be Noah Thomas. He's been looking good lately.
Yeah, I wouldn't put him as my best player, but I would say he has the ability to continue to, what we've seen the last 2 weeks. If he plays like that the rest of the way, now we have a conversation to have. But Nick Scorton, obviously on that conversation, on that list. I think Shamar Stewart should be on that list. I think Will Lee should be on that list. That's 3 right there. Who else are we talking about? Offensively, Trey Zune for sure on that list. You got to put Le'Veon on that list. Am I missing somebody? Is there anybody? Tyler White. I don't like to put punters on that list, but he's on that list, guys. Let's be real honest about it. He should be on that list. You could text in on the Little Sluggers text line if you have any answers for that. We'll talk about that. I know in the next segment we are going to talk about the Association of Former Students, but if some good answers do pop up, we can certainly get into that. All right, so the answers are Trey Zune. You said Noah Thomas. We said Le'Veon Moss, Scorton, Shamar Stewart, Will Lee. Is there somebody I'm missing? There's got to be. Tyler White.
You could toss Shamar Turner in there as well.
Shamar Turner. I mean, you know what? I got one because somebody asked a question on Twitter earlier that I didn't get to. Tommy Moffitt. There you go. There's my answer. Tommy Moffitt. Oh, and Coach Elko. There you go. That's my answer. So I'm giving everybody A's. You get an A, you get an A, you get an A. All right. Way to break. When we come back on TexAgs Live, we are going to talk to the Association of Former Students. Aggie Ring Day is coming up. Plus, we'll get to these text messages there on the Little Sluggers text line. It's TexAgs Live. On TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Time for Around the Association. Got Scott Walker, class of 90, the VP. What's up?
Hey, buddy.
I just made it real casual. Yes. Landon, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great.
Landon Johnson's getting his Aggie ring this weekend, right?
Yes, sir, on Friday.
I'm interested in hearing your story, Landon, because I heard that you come from a lot of Aggies in your family.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I'm a third-generation Aggie. Okay. Both of my parents are Aggies. And then I am the 5th out of 6 cousins on that side to come to A&M.
Okay.
So this will be my 5th ring day, and it's finally mine. So I'm really excited.
Did you always know, like, there's no other option, I'm going A&M, that's just it?
Yep. My parents said that either their money's going to come here either way. I either get to use it as my tuition or they're going to get a building named after them. So,
there you go.
Yes, sir.
I like the way they operate.
Can I get a number?
Yeah, I'll give it to you afterwards.
What do you have planned for the weekend? Like, what's your game plan?
Well, I'm just I get my ring on Friday at 3:30. And then just going to go home, enjoy some barbecue with my family. My family's all coming down.
Good.
A couple of my core buddies are going to go with me. And then on Saturday, we're just going to watch the full slate of college football. Hopefully watch the T-Sips lose to OU. But that's the whole plan.
Scott, let's talk a little bit about it because I didn't realize you had done so many. How many have you now been a part of Aggie Ring Day?
This will be my 39th time to MC Aggie Ring Day.
Wow. And do you look forward to it every year?
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah.
Three greatest days of the year. Everybody's so happy, in a good mood. They got their whole family with them. It's like a family reunion plus a birthday plus Christmas, kind of all rolled into this one great big happy day.
Well, let's go through it. You got one Friday from 9 a.m. to 6 and Saturday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And a lot of folks are getting the ring and a lot more folks are coming to watch.
Absolutely. We've got 4,200 rings to distribute. And we expect about 40,000 people to pass through our doors over the course of the 2 days. And what we want people to know is come prepared. Mm-hmm. It is a celebration, but also there's a little bit of work involved. You're going to do some walking. It's going to be hot. You're going to be standing in the sun. If you arrive too early, you're going to be standing in the heat. And you should consider your family members and friends who are coming with you, whether they're capable of managing that. And so wear sensible footwear, hydrate, all the normal advice that people get about living in Texas and being outside.
So when you mention the number of folks getting their rings and then the amount of total guests, I did some math, quick math. It looks like 10 people per person. And I was starting to think, that's a lot of people coming. But when you think about it, brothers, sister, grandparents, little league coach, girlfriend, boyfriend, right? Yeah. And you may get more. Right?
Yeah.
Lana, how many folks do you think you have coming?
I've got about 20 coming.
See what I'm saying? I'm just skewing the number here.
Yep. I know it's a lot, but my aunts, they both kind of split the cost of the ring for me, and then my grandmother bought the diamond in it. So they all kind of, once they get it, they give it to me. So it's really cool.
Oh, that is so fantastic. Let's go through some of the tips, because I know you got 5 tips that folks should consider. Because there's some walking involved for everybody who comes, so think about that.
You're walking guaranteed minimum of half a mile, and that's if you just get off the bus, walk straight in the building, and then leave. Nobody does that, so you're going to walk more than half a mile. Think about your shoes, think about the health of the people with you. We discourage people from showing up too early. There's no real benefit to showing up an hour before your ring time. It's not going to get you in the building.
Say that to somebody in the Corps and somebody who's like ultra paranoid about being late, but I know what you mean.
Right, yeah. Hydrate ahead of time. Don't forget your ID. You got to have 2 forms of ID, or we want to make sure that we're giving the ring to the person who actually earned the ring.
Right.
And so we want 2 forms of ID to prove that.
People actually tried to get somebody else's ring?
No, but
you're just being safe. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's our job. We protect the integrity of the Aggie ring, and our job is to ensure that anybody wearing one has earned one. And so we have to be a little stern about that.
As you should.
But it's also about making sure the right ring gets on the right finger, because there's a lot of people named, Joe Johnson and whatever.
Right.
And so part of it is just quality control as well as security.
Drink some water, because the weather this morning was cold, a little cold, not cold, but it was coolish. But it's going to warm up to 90 later, so this weekend could be very similar.
It's going to be 90s. It's going to be sunny. You can't park at the Alumni Center. You have to park at West Campus Garage and ride the shuttle, or park somewhere else and walk. But there's no parking on site because our whole site is in use for Ring Day. We've got the marketplace going, so after you get your ring, head out into Aggie Park, enjoy the marketplace. We've got about a dozen vendors in the marketplace for this Ring Day. CC Creations will be there selling the official, unique Aggie Ring Day t-shirt.
Yep.
Career Center, Kona Ice, Lucchese, Hui, Beaded Blondes, Adamas Jewelry, Pate Ranch, South of Kyle, Bojo Coffee. Major League Madison. Did I forget anybody, Randy? I mean, it's
a music act will be there.
We've got professional photographers who will be set up in the park. Parsons Cavalry will be on site so that you can get pictures with them. It's a lot of fun.
Hey, so you guys, people make fun of me. I don't eat ice cream very often, all right? But I've been told the next time I have ice cream, the Moore Family Creamery is the place to go. Because I know people hang out there. They like to go. It'll be open during this event from 2 to 8.
It will be. It will be. It's, eating food is affected sort of by the ambiance of where you are.
Yeah.
And walking into Aggie Park, you're standing there by the lake, and you go to the Moore Family Creamery and get some ice cream and walk around, eat your ice cream. It's just it's an Aggie thing. You need to do it once, at least.
By the way, let me just tell people, so next week I'm going to have some folks in town that we're going to show off Aggie Park. I think take advantage of Aggie Park this weekend. Enjoy everything about it because it is it's just a cool place to be.
It's a very cool place to be.
You excited about it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Ecstatic.
Yeah.
I've been waiting for this almost as long as I've been waiting for my boots, but I got my boots now, so I just got to get the ring.
When you were a little kid, did you think about the ring? Or when did that become like, this is what I'm thinking about?
I would probably say like my freshman year.
Yeah.
Like it just kind of hit me that like I was actually at A&M. And I mean, anybody can go around and say they're from A&M, but once you get the ring, like that is the mark of approval that you are an Aggie and everything. And everybody knows it too.
Yeah.
So.
Good stuff, Landon. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Scott, great seeing you, my friend.
Always good to see you, Dave.
Enjoy the weekend. Take a lot of videos and pictures, all right?
Oh, yes.
All right, that's going to do it for TexAgs Live. I won't see you tomorrow, but somebody will. His name is Bronny. Gentlemen, thank you very much.